I believe we're live. And let me know out there. There's a little bit of a delay. Let me know if the sound is okay, because we're still indie and we're still super low budget around here. So if it sounds good, we'll continue. All right, cool. So thank you all for watching. It was really exciting to see Contour again. I haven't sat and just watched the movie in years, and I managed to wrangle most of the cast and crew from the entire movie. Ray Carbonell, Steve Reedy, Troy Carbonell, Dennis Ruel, Edward Kahana are all here right now. So this is like pretty amazing. We'll take a bunch of questions. I figure first we'll kind of go around and talk about what you guys remember from doing this movie. And let's start with you, Ed. What do you remember from Contour? That Chinese warehouse would come home with us every night, and everybody we were with at the time would complain about smelling like ginseng and herbs, and yeah, it was a beautiful time. Yeah, our daily food was power bars and peanuts, I think, mixed nuts. That was about it. Yeah, those were. Yeah, if I could get those on sale at CVS, I would. Yeah, I'm gonna boost my audio here. Boost the levels. Here we go. Troy, what's your favorite memory from Contour?
It's like the day-to-day stuff, like the stuff we came up with, the ideas that we bounced off each other, and just like, dude, just kicking each other's asses for fun, it was just a lot of fun. Like, Ed, like, dude, our fight, you make me look good. Like,
oh man, no.
Yeah,
man, those are fun times, man.
You made me look good.
Troy and Ed, talk about how you came up with that gag at the end with that chain, because that's the thing that gets applause.
It does, for sure.
Screwing around. I think.
Yeah, it was Ed screwing around, and just like whatever anybody thought, it's like, yeah, let's fucking do it. That'd be cool. Let's try it. And I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do it. But then I'm all like, fuck yeah, I might lose the fucking eye. I'm like, I was shitting my pants, like literally. I was like, hopefully it doesn't like take my eye out, because like, okay, I'm willing to get it in the face,
Yeah,
Actually,
I don't think we thought
face,
it would. We didn't realize how we were like, how many times we're gonna have to do this to get it to line up at the end, and it wasn't that bad, but yeah, it was definitely like there was definitely a time we're like, is this really gonna work? And yeah,
no, I think we did like 5 takes. That was it.
Yeah,
At first, I didn't think it was gonna look good, but then when you showed me, like, when I saw it in the end, I was like, wow, it lined up perfectly.
Yeah.
Now, one of those chains was real. I think you guys knew which one to use though when you did that gag. We had a heavy chain, and Ed was using that. Oh, we were using the heavy one when you were breaking the PVC pipes, right?
Right.
Yes,
yeah,
that was scary.
Oh, but do you remember we're using that heavy chain for the Foley stuff, for the hits?
Yeah.
Remember this?
So Ed was learning chain whip at the time, and it was this backyard chain whip style that it was literally something that, like, Ed went and bought a dog chain from Petco.
Oh, yeah.
And this is not a chain whip chain. Like, chain whip chains have, they have a certain way to them. And so Ed gets this dog chain, and he's playing around with it, and he hits himself. Did you hit yourself in the head with that one?
Yeah,
You're
no.
bleeding.
This is the worst thing was it was practicing at Caltrain, waiting
I
to
was
get
picking
picked
you
up.
up.
Yeah, you were picking me up.
I
So
picked
in
him
public, in SF Street Public,
I picked him up, and I thought he got mugged. Because he said, I'm bleeding in my head. I was like, did someone mug you?
Nah,
But
man.
he's like, no, I did it to myself.
Taifa. Taifa did this. Dennis.
Yeah.
Dennis is on vacation right now. We managed to pull him in from Malibu for just a second. I'm wearing the shirt for it too. Dennis, what's your favorite memory from Contour?
One quick memory of when they started the chain whip fight that I remember is, right when Ed ripped it off the thing, it smacked him right in the eye. It was the first thing we were gonna do with the chain, and right when he pulled it to get ready to do this big fight, boosh, right in the face, and then everybody was kind of going, "Oh shit, is this gonna be?" That just had to be. It had to be the worst way to get started on this crazy idea. So that when Troy and Ed were trying to figure it out, trying to figure out how to make something fake that already happened for real in the beginning was just, that was great. I think the memory, the longest lasting memory was that warehouse going in there 17,000 times, and just knowing. Ed already mentioned the smell of it, but I think that ended up being kind of like the smell theme that I remember the most from that whole movie, and just going in there with you guys in the daytime before going to a regular teaching job after. Just doing that every day almost, or every day when we could before work, and then doing all that fighting stuff, and then going to teach, and then coming in the next day or the one after or whatever. It's just the whole the making of it. It's not really one memory, it's just the whole thing.
Dennis, you remember there was a day, it must have been in the spring, we went in and you had allergies and I had a headache. We were just dead that day. And we kind of sat around watching video clips, and then we said, we got nothing. We did this all day, and we got nothing, and we left, went home.
One day when we went in there, I had a crazy fever, and I was like, I could do it, and I was just sitting there thinking, like, yeah, once we get going, I'll be fine. And then when we were ready to get started, I stood up and I started to kind of get ready to move, and I started to get dizzy, and I sat down, tried to do that for maybe an hour because I didn't waste the day, and then I said to hell with it, and I'm sorry, I couldn't do it. That was a canceled day. Remember that. That's
what you get to do on stuff like this, because like that's how they shot Flashpoint was like that. There'd be days where they'd get 3 or 4 shots done. That's what I heard. I heard it on Good Authority, man. And that's, I don't know. The way I've been describing it is, we really approached all the fights without any planning. If it wasn't coming to us, then this wasn't our day to fight, and it made it sort of live there. It really felt like it was there, right? It didn't feel planned, because that's not what fights are. Fights aren't planned. So it just kind of, I keep calling it stream of consciousness. So.
Oh, you telling me to hit you? You telling me to hit you with that axe in the first part of the fight? I was really struggling with that, because you were just going, sorry, man, it just doesn't look good unless you actually do it. and I was, come on, be a man. I was going, well, wait a minute, there's got to be a way. There's got to be some way where it doesn't have to actually, That was pretty crazy. That was and then we did it again in part 2, chasing, and I was blind with the jacket.
Yeah, I kind of had to find your foot.
We're gonna do it again.
One. Yeah. that one was actually worse, because it was in the front, and I was like, okay, I have to find. I know he's gonna kick the exact same every time. The problem is me. Like, I'm gonna go in too far to go. Ray.
Yeah. What's
favorite
up?
memory.
Oh,
His memories
man.
were knocked out when he got the gator back to the
That
skull.
would
No, I'm
probably
just
be
kidding.
the worst memory, I would imagine.
That was probably one of the worst. But you know what? I did have a bunch of injuries, but that was probably the worst. But my favorite memory was just overall, you know. But if I could pinpoint one, it was the one take in the beginning, because I was the second part of that one take. So Dennis did all the work. All I had to do was just throw the gun at him, and Dennis had to catch it after like
Oh,
Yeah.
40 moves. And then Steve had to capture it when I threw it, right? And of course, Steve, the way he does it, he just like perfectly frames it and he catches it. And then I kick you, and then we do our thing. But dude, people don't see it, but like Steve Reedy, there's a ladder here. Steve Reedy has the camera.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
The ladders. So then you'll see me, and then I'll grab the ladder, and you'll see that like motion and like where did it come from, and then like it's you kicking the ladder through my head, and then like it ends in that big sequence. But dude, the way I was just so worried because it was a one take. Dennis did all the work. I had to throw him the gun, and then I had to like get that ladder like straight on and like had it like, and then Steve had to like grab it at the right time. It was perfect. It was amazing. I just can't believe that we did that. And that's when I knew, like, dude, like the way that we were flowing, the way that like we were just like had our like I don't know, the choreography like in our heads. Like, why don't you try this? Why don't we try that? Because a lot of that everyone talks about the tie sequence, but then the bag sequence in the beginning, we were working that out, and I think that eventually became the tie stuff too. Like with you.
That's right.
At the end. So I love how it kind of like the first opening sequence with the one shot, and then the end sequence, it kind of like bookends it,
That's right.
And
I forgot
it
about
has,
that.
I mean, it's just great, it was, everything was like perfect, like Steve Reedy was like, he had to like, it's not just like shoot a wide. Steve Reedy had to like be at a certain angle, and Dennis had to kick you at a certain angle where it was perfect, and then you had to react at the same exact time, and it just clicked. And we were just like you were saying, like it was just flowing. And it's like when you feel that, when you encounter that, it's rare to have that flow, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we just had it throughout the whole shoot. You know what I mean? It was just, we were just flowing. The fight with me and Andy, like, I don't think I've moved that fast ever, but it just like, it flowed, you know what I mean? And people, always think that I'm like some kung fu guy, but I've never done kung fu. I've only done Aikido and Eskrima maybe, but then everyone goes, yeah, man, I love your, whatever, your kung fu style. And I'm like, well, that's all in the movies, man, because that's all Eric and Andy
That's
and me.
contour fu.
But yeah, so many, and you know what? When you talk about memories, it's not even like the movie per se, because beforehand, it was like what we were doing. We were actually a community. You know what I mean? We hung out with each other. We played stunt ball with each other on Sundays. Stunt ball, right? We made up our own rules for like this game that we would play. It was kind of like a kung fu version of dodgeball, I guess. And then we just kept adding rules to it. And that just like that was part of the creativity, right? And Sunday practice, well, first off, you were in Reading. The stunt people were in Reading. Me and Dennis and Troy were in San Francisco. We were doing our own thing. And then once I heard that you were going to school in SF State, I was like, Den, we got to hook up with him. And Dennis went and, filmed with you, I think the first day, right, Den?
I think
like
when you walked in the door, I said, hold on, before you come in, can you come in and throw a punch? I hadn't even met you guys. Like, hey, we're making this movie. Come in and throw a punch, and then he'll punch you. And
yeah. Yeah. So like before even filming this whole movie, we were all just hanging out, Sunday practice, and we would do whatever for the whole day. It was just a Sunday of like, okay, let's do some acrobatics. All right, me and Dennis, let's spar. Okay, let's do some wrestling. All right, let's do some stump ball. Okay, and then we started playing a game called Mafia, which is at the end of the movie when we were
just Among Us analog version,
doing, right? So, like,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's Among Us or Werewolf by Night or whatever, right? So we were just playing that, and I remember playing that, and I just remember like, Eric, you were the werewolf, you were the mafia, and I was like, you betrayed me, and like I remember like, Reedy was like, oh, like that, just like memories like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's why we were so good at like, filming, and we were just like had all these ideas because we'd spar together, we'd eat together, we'd play together, we'd like go out watch movies together.
And we'd hang
out at Dennis's
crazy
place,
experiences
and we would, like,
too
we'd
at
play
the
Tekken. We'd play
at the studio. Like some crazy dudes would come in and like try and fight us, and we would all, like gently usher these people away from us and never see them again.
Oh yeah.
Hit them in the back
Like
of the
more
head
than one
on the
time
way.
when like a drunk Russian dude showed up one time. I always thought I love this story, and like he was a ninja, but he was like this 50-year-old drunk Russian dude, and we're all like doing stunts, and I hear, I don't fight any of you. And we all turn around, and he's sitting there in the lobby, and he's got his beer. He's like, I fight anyone, I fight all of you, and everyone. And there's 20 of us, and I'm going like, oh my gosh, like this guy's gonna die. And I just went up to him, and I complimented his tattoo, and I was like, tell me about your tattoo. That's the only thing I could think of, just to make sure that like Anne and like Ray and these killers weren't gonna do anything to this guy. and he's like, huh? Oh, it's my mother. I miss my mother. And I kind of like lift him up as we're talking about his tattoo, and I guide him to the front door. This is 5th Street in San Francisco, so these people walk by the door every minute.
Yeah.
And I guide him to the door, and he says, I miss my mother. I love you. And he grabbed my face and he kissed me on my cheek. This kiss, it was the size of my head. And he said, goodbye. And he left, and I turned around. There's 20 stunt people behind me who were like ready to kill this guy. Those are really interesting time and place, without a doubt.
Yeah. But anyways, to finish my thought, I mean, like, once we started going to stunt practice, I distinctly remember Eric goes up to me and he goes like, Ray, you're going to be in the next movie. And I was like, okay, I will. And that was it, like we did a whole bunch of like practice videos. I mean, we just like randomly just do some crazy stuff. Like, remember this one with Troy? You ended up doing this at the end.
That was Deadly Finger 2. That was Jose's idea.
Yeah.
Deadly Finger 2. And he was sumo, right?
Oh, sumo.
Yeah. Yes.
Sumo.
Yeah, but like, we did so many like random videos, and that was all just practice for this movie. And I think that's why it was just so great, man.
Yeah, I mean, right before this, we did Undercut, and Reedy, I'll segue to you in just a second. But Reedy and I met on the Everyone is Kung Fu Fighting DVD, basically.
Oh wow!
And
you're on the cover, right, Steve? As Keanu?
Of a different one, and
right. Yeah.
That's it. We could get to that story.
We'll get
perhaps.
to that.
Okay.
But yeah, Reedy did Undercut first, and Reedy, man, favorite memory from Contour.
Ooh, okay. So while everyone's been talking, I've gotten all excited from all these memories that I forgot I remembered. Let's see, some of them real quick. When Dennis getting sick, I remember I got sick one time, and while leaving, I fainted, and Dennis found me.
Yeah.
The warehouse we're filming in. These are all runners up for favorite ideas, by the way. I'm trying to find the favorite idea. The warehouse we're filming in, which, by the way, I forgot who hooked that up, but my God, what a hookup to have a warehouse, a full warehouse to be our playground while they're working, right? And and it would truly smell like a grandpa's bad breath because it was just barrels and barrels of ancient herbs. And one time we knocked over a barrel, and it was probably like $100,000.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, put it back.
Yeah, nobody knew.
Nobody knew. Shh, they're not watching. But yeah, there's okay. Well, I mean, as we talk, more things will come up. But to chime in on, I think what Ray's memory is at the top for sure, and the theme of that is what was beautiful about it is I think each shot might have had a different formula. Sometimes say it'd be 100% Eric, and other times Eric and Dennis and Ray and Troy would kind of like discuss like, okay, Eric would say, here's the plan, and then maybe Dennis would be like, oh, if I try this kick, and then Ray'd be like, well, maybe if I could do that, and Ed would be like, well, I'm playing with this new move, maybe I could try that, and then so we'd stand around, and while they're workshopping, I'm just standing there with the DVX, which was a wonderful camera because it had a handle up top. It got really good focus, and you could also crash zoom with it, right? And it weighed like 5 pounds, so it had enough weight to not be shaky, but you could do this with it, right? So I'd just be watching them and memorizing all of your guys' choreography, going, okay, thinking what I'm supposed to think, like what would make that look the best and sell it the best. And then of course you guys are telling me it should be here or it's not gonna be dramatic. Okay, cool. So I have to be here for here. And then watching you guys choreograph, then I'd start playing with this choreography just by myself, like in the background, And then when all of it would happen, say this one shot in the beginning of the movie that ends with a gun being thrown. I mean, that's very difficult. All of you guys have these masterful skills that took lifetimes to build. And then here you're doing the Cirque du Soleil perfect. It has to be perfect, all of it. And it's complex. And then you do it. And then maybe the camera messed up. Oh, I didn't get the shot. You guys were perfect. Okay, I got the shot. You guys messed up. Okay. And then finally, it would all just be like a Swiss watch. The gears going, and it would just happen. And you guys are doing superhero shit in real life, and then I frame it so it looks good. I mean, it looks good without the framing of it. But then, and then we'd have these special moments, and the feeling of reward of some of these extremely difficult choreographies, and then we'd all get it. We'd all win at the same time precisely, and that's a feeling that's hard to top, I think. And it happened many times on this, but absolutely that one shot, especially when Ray throws the gun and then someone has to, throwing the gun, catching the gun after all these moves. And just fun little tricks. There's another one, Dennis versus Eric. I forgot who kicks the box, but the box flies and hits the camera. It's like, how do we get the box to hit the camera without hitting the camera? Oh, yeah. There's a push cart over there. So I'll hide inside the push cart, and the cart's railing to block the box. And then, but it's okay, do a fight scene and then kick a box directly across the room into a bullseye this big. You know what I mean? Like these impossible things, and we all kneel at the Church of Jackie Chan, who that was his philosophy. Like just do it a bunch, and then eventually you'll strike gold. And when you strike gold, and then we're watching the playback and we're rewinding, and everybody smells except me because you guys are being athletes, and everyone's gathered, and I feel like the sweat vapor coming off all of you, and you're like, the heat. That's good. Oh yeah, we got it. And then we'd all just like, like that was cool. And that's not as specific because that happened dozens and dozens of times. So that's my answer. However, there's just so many funny things. Be it, there's just so many silly things that happen because the filming of this, Eric, how long was the filming? Because it was just sporadically, sometimes once a week, sometimes 5 times a week, sometimes not even for 3 weeks, for a couple of years.
I think we were in that warehouse for like 85 days or something ridiculous like that.
Amazing.
We were just living there at a certain point. Steve, I wanted to ask. So, I'm watching. Well, whenever I watch long takes now, I'm always looking for the hidden cut. And when I watch Contour, I find myself going like, all right, where do we put the hidden cut? And I realize like, oh crap, we didn't put a hidden cut in. Why didn't we do a hidden cut? Because there are actually points where you could have hit it. And I was thinking about this like when we were doing
with the drapes.
Yeah, with the drapes. There are 2 sets of drapes, and we could have easily done a hidden cut. We just In fact, it looks like we would have, but I think maybe at the time people believed Wonders, and I don't know if they believe Wonders anymore.
I loosely remember some of the conversations we had about this. Wonders did exist, but they weren't super common because they're very hard to pull off, and film cameras were harder than digital. But even back then, and especially today, I have a lot, I'm sure you guys agree, I have a lot of criticisms about Wonders that aren't done right. And I just think we were critical about it. Like, I forgot what movies we're thinking of that did it, but it's like, oh, well, this one tried the Wonder and it was dull. So let's try, how can we make it not dull? And also, yeah, none of us really had the VFX chops to pull off really good fake Wonders. But then also, because y'all are crazy, y'all just wanted the challenge. And sometimes we wanted the wide shot instead of like going up close to like a tree. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like we want, because remember, we were in the Bourne Identity era. Action was horrible in the mainstream. It was just shaky cam, blah, 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 and horrible. So much cutting. You never knew what was going on, and we were mad. We're rebelling against that. So we always wanted clarity. And when you have that clarity, it's hard to hide the cut. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that was sort of the integrity we were sticking to. I loosely remember some conversations about like just how far can we push it, and you guys are maniacs and succeeded. So
Well, you danced with us, Steve, and you really sort of like, it's like. It's probably not the best analogy, but it's like a drummer in a jazz band. Like, he's right in the middle. He has to be keeping time, and he has to keep things going for everybody. And you could sense, and you were adding, and you're just like another fighter in those fights. Do
you want to know my secret? I don't think I've ever talked about this. The secret of how I was able to keep up with you guys. Oh. I started memorizing your grunts.
Oh, that's genius.
What?
I didn't do it on purpose. I just noticed one day that's what I was doing. So, and it's like, the huh is a kick, which means I need to be there. So when I'd hear the like 3 punches, I'd go, I better step back. Huh. Okay, and the next one's going to be like, whoa. So then I'd have to go over there. So it actually was memorizing music, but the music was you guys making horrible grunting.
We were making grunt work.
And I think I realized that like a few years ago. I didn't know it then, but I was like,
Can I? Hey, Den, do you remember My Stunts with Jackie Chan? And then we actually, he has this one segment in My Stunts, Jackie Chan. He says it's all about the rhythm. It's all about the rhythm. And that's what we were doing. Actually, we were going It's actually musical. It was the kind of like the beats and staccato. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because like when you flow in like Hapkido, it's different when we were doing Eskrima. Eskrima is more like.
We lost Ray.
We lost Ray.
Might need to turn off your video, Ray, because your connection seems kind of low bit rate.
Can you put around you?
All right, while Ray comes back, Ed, I wanted to ask you about a scene in this movie I think that doesn't get quite the attention it deserves. The opening animation.
Oh yeah.
Can you?
Crazy.
Whose insane idea was it to do a full opening animated introduction, and why did you listen to this insane man?
Because you asked me to do like the Pink Panther intros, right? That's where it kind of started. And I was like,
that's right.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, of course, it's like, anime's cool. And then I tore my knee, and I was like, well, what else am I gonna do now? Because I can't do it. You just said you was on like bed rest and then crutches, and it's just like, whatever. And this is the weirdest thing, but my mom worked my mom didn't work at the library at the time, but I went to the public library, and he had free CD rentals, and I will forever remember sitting there in Photoshop exporting these layers and vectors over to make the animated GIF to put it into the final shot in After Effects or whatever, listening to Bjork. I don't know why, but like her, like whatever that possibly maybe that all her albums, for whatever reason, I just had that in the background almost the entire time doing these animations. So it's weird. I don't know why, but I will forever know Bjork with sitting in front of Photoshop.
Were you watching any anime at the time, or like were you inspired by any kind of
Samurai
animations?
Champloo was definitely cool back then. Right? I think right? Or was it not out yet? I don't know.
Perfect Blue?
Samurai Champloo.
Oh,
I think
it was that. I think it was that.
Yeah.
It was. I remember giving it to Steve Yu at one of his birthday parties, and then
he was so into it. Yeah.
I was really into it. I got him into it, I think. But yeah.
Oh my God,
Eric,
that reminds me of something. Oh, this is full circle. I remember we're there on set one day, and Dennis goes, dude, I just played this game. It's fucking crazy. I'm going to skip the name of the game for a second. He's like, the graphics are so amazing, and sometimes there's these moments when you like go here, the camera will zoom all the way back and zoom all the way back in, depending where you are in the fight or in the level. It was a little game called God of War. And we were just talking about
Never heard of it.
This game is amazing. Whoa, I gotta try it. Oh, this sounds nuts. And then now to be like, yo, Eric's Kratos. We talked about God of War so much in that warehouse. Just saying, God of War 1.
Damn.
Oh
forgot
wow,
about that.
that's wild.
I do remember that.
Weird. That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? Like, I think Dennis, you're the one who told us like I discovered a gem. And then we all went and discovered the following.
Yeah, a little PlayStation game I heard of. Yeah.
Oh, but I had a little tidbit I told Eric earlier. But like when we were doing the rooftop scene in at SF State, before the cops came, but the people in the door were yelling out like, he's like, shut up, stop it! And then one lady, one girl screams out, "What do you think you're doing? Filming Mortal Kombat 15 or something?" And
he said yes.
15 years later, yeah, we were.
Oh yeah, that too.
So if we were talking about a video game during the filming of Contour, all of you went to go work on the video games.
Just about.
There you go. You know what's interesting about the rooftop fight, which I wasn't there for. I wasn't there that day, but that's when the world was shifting in a fascinating way. It was not long after 9/11, actually, and that's when people started being less cool about just using public spaces like your own art studio, basically. Before that, you could, or I would, as a student filmmaker, maybe before I met you guys, I'd be blowing up things like props, like miniatures with fireworks and filming them and stuff, and no one cared. Cops would drive by and be like, "What you doing? Cool, have fun." And then a few years later, around when we're filming Contour, suddenly everyone's like, "Kid, you can't do this. I'm calling the cops. Go away," Like we were filming in an era when society was the world was changing into sort of the modern era in the middle of filming this. So that's very interesting to bring up, like that.
And you know that era too. You talked about the Born Identity style. I've talked about it on the podcast quite a bit, but I don't think it's a coincidence that the Born style came after 9/11. There were more Matrix films after 9/11. There were more Star Wars films, and those were still like shot sort of that late 90s style that we all loved. But it seems like the Bourne style is sort of like what has lasted in the memory hole as being like that was the action style then. And yeah, I think a lot of us were like, no, we're gonna like hold on to the old thing. We want to hold on to the cool 90s. We're not gonna get with this. This other thing happening.
It was very cynical too.
Very
so grounded and gritty.
Right.
Oh, right.
So it was actually rare to be doing the fun and the silly thing, because that really didn't exist. I think Marvel movies brought a lot of the silly and fun and visible action back into the realm. Again, I think so much of this was us rebelling from what the mainstream action world at the time wasn't giving us, and we wanted it so bad because we're such fans, and we grew up with like Rumble in the Bronx, and it's like, when Jackie would do the jacket thing, that's so cool. That's like being a little kid watching him use a jacket as a weapon was like, and then being cute about it, and being Charlie Chaplin about it, and being physical storytelling. We were blown away, and every single one of you has those skills and put them on display. And all this stuff, but especially Contour, we just desperately wanted more of that.
Yeah.
So we made it.
Speaking of skills, Dennis, I have a question for you. So, the one of the things early on, because I saw your short film that you had done before we met, The Last Piece.
Yeah.
And you and Ray.
There's stories about that.
Yeah, and you guys all had you guys all had a very particular kind of way of kicking, and people still talk about that kind of kicking, yours and Ray's. Can you tell us? Can you give us like a little bit of history on your kicking, the aesthetics of it, and how you came to it, and how you came to utilize it in film? And that's a huge question, but I think people are really interested. I've always been interested too. I've always, really admired the way you guys kicked. So please enlighten us.
Your Kictionary though kind of blows away every.
That was me being able to do one kick one time, and then as soon as I got it, I moved on, and I could never do that kick again.
So Eric, I gotta say something though. For that Kictionary, if you go to that Kictionary YouTube clip and you read the descriptions, what I appreciate about you is that you actually say, "Thank you to Andy Leung, Dennis Ruel, Ray Carbonell, and Troy Carbonell for teaching me how to kick." Well, we had something to do with it, but I'm glad that you actually throwing it out there. You made me look good, so thank you for that.
I'll pay my black belt fee soon, I promise.
But go ahead.
You black belt yet?
No, I don't have it yet. I still have a brown belt. I just used it the other day.
Are you serious?
I just used it the other day for some rigging. That thing is so ripped up now.
That's so funny.
Anyway, no, I didn't want to teach. I don't want no black belt.
Oh no, we already gave you your.
We already gave you one.
I refuse.
Yeah, the last time you were here, we already gave you.
You can't.
All right, Dennis.
Anyway, go ahead, Dan.
Love to hear some insight.
I that's a long answer. I think I feel like I was influenced by all different types of people from films, and then Ray, Troy, and I all coming from a place where I think we got really lucky, because at that time, early mid 90s, there was still a lot of schools that, or martial arts styles, that had their very specific way. So or at least in the Bay Area, from what we saw, if you went to a Taekwondo school, they would kick that a certain way. You could really see the shape of all these different styles and how they would do it. And I think we really got lucky at our place, because our main instructor and the two instructors that taught us under him, all of those guys were from different styles, or they had like a different upbringing. And so one guy was a little bit more Taekwondo, another guy kind of came from Shotokan first, and then they all kind of learned the kicking stuff from different sources too, so that when we were young and we were being taught, okay, this is a round kick, front kick, side kick, every time we'd be shown these things, they would show them a little bit differently than the next guy, right? So then that was really kind of unusual at the time, to see, how to throw an axe kick a certain way, to throw it this way, or one instructor did it one way, another instructor did it another way. They would accentuate certain parts of it. They'd load up differently. They'd almost stand differently. One guy was a little bit more bladed. The other guy was a little bit more forward. One of our instructors did double kicks, like chain kicking, differently than another instructor did it, so it was kind of like, and then I'm watching Ray and Troy, and who are my elders in, as we were all moving up, they each were kicking differently too. So it's like I'm watching master instructor, next two instructors, Ray and Troy, everybody above me, almost everybody in there is kicking differently. So it's kind of like you try to like, oh, I'm gonna turn over the hip more on the round kick, I'm gonna spin more, I'm gonna not, I'm gonna do a quick recoil and leave it there. I'm gonna, kick, bring it back, kick, leave it in front. And it's kind of like, since there was no one way that was traditional that we would, or that we had to say, you have to do it this way on the test, or otherwise it's wrong or something like that. We got to avoid all that. So we were lucky in that way. And yeah, I guess on tests, it did get to a point where it was specifically like, okay, throw the kick and leave it in front, or step and then throw it and then leave it in front, stuff like that. But I think just generally we were always trying different ways of kicking, And then since I was watching Hong Kong stuff, and then Van Damme, and then B movies from America versus Hong Kong, and then at around that time, Korean arts, Korean film started throwing kicks really big and crazier, and they had the whole tired fighting that they would show in their films. So that then those kicks were thrown differently, almost kind of like here's my end all kick. I'm going to put everything I got into this one kick. That was kind of we barely ever saw that in Hong Kong and in American stuff. So I feel like we just all got lucky watching all these different things and then trying to be able to do it all, because I think when you're doing action design and you're doing a combo, so I guess what I'm trying to say is like, never mind the style that anybody learns, because when you're doing when you have to do like a combo with somebody, you go, okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and some of those middle numbers are kicks. Sometimes you have to throw those middle numbers a certain way just to make the whole combo flow or something, and you can't be all stuck on like, oh, that kick always has to be thrown a certain way, but then you put it in the middle of a combo and it doesn't work, or the camera's over there and I can't throw the kick like that because the camera's over there and it doesn't show well to the camera unless I throw the kick like this. So it's kind of like I think we all got lucky just trying to go, we should learn every kind of way to kick, and then we should learn how, that's going to work on film, and then that forces you to kick differently beyond the art, or beyond whatever art you're trying to.
You're sort of giving a language to kicks. It's like you're conjugating kicks in a sentence, and that's. I mean, so when you're training your kicks, are you training them? Like, at what point were you training them for camera, and how did that affect your technique when you went from like real life to camera?
Yeah, early, because I think we sparred often enough that I think we all knew how to pull kicks, which really helps for if we're doing a fight, if we're doing action, if we're doing an action design scene and your friend says, "Hey, you're gonna have to kick me in the face like with an axe stick," if you're sparring, I think you get used to throwing kicks as fast as you maybe would on a paddle, but then obviously you throw them with a different power because you want to pull it because you don't want to hurt your friend, right? So then if you're sparring and then so when you're sparring, you're learning how to throw the kick slightly different, but then when you go on camera, I guess to answer your question was pretty early, because we were trying to shoot fight scenes back in '98 ish, somewhere in there. We started like trying to film, and I think right away you're trying to learn you're trying to figure out how to make your kicks look good for the camera. And I mean, does that answer the question? I mean, how do you?
Yeah, because I in my mind I'm always thinking, how does somebody like Huang Jing Li make kicks look good from every angle? Right. You know what I mean? Like, here's a guy.
I think you have to just shoot it from all the angles and actually do it with your buddies and say, hey, put the camera over there. Let me see if I can make this kick stack from the camera over there, and let's put it over there. And let me see if I can do it. Like, oh, I can't. It doesn't work. I have to pull it. And then maybe if you're working with your friends and you're all caring about the takes and watching them after you do them, and then I think you're going to naturally learn how to, or you're going to be forced to learn how to throw your kicks differently for camera, you know?
So I want to also add,
go ahead.
Real quick, is that we were actually our school, we did a lot of demonstrations, live demonstrations. So
yeah, it's true.
Yeah, so me and Den and Troy, like we had a demo teams, and we'd like, you know, go to like, so for instance, like the Cherry Blossom Festival every year, we'd have a, sequence where we'd do something real quick, right? And yeah, that kind of like got us started in that, and then we had that flow, doing it live in front of an audience. But then like, yeah, it was that's partly part of it too. And I'm glad that you mentioned that we had like different we had various different teachers that had different styles, Hapkido, but like old school Hapkido kicking styles, but Taekwondo styles, but old school style as well, and then the more karate styles. So like, in terms of kicking, like, and also if you see me, Dan, and Troy kick, we kick totally differently, but we learn, from the same, and we just, physically some things that we can do better than others, and we just like ended up like, working with what we got. You know what I mean?
Ray, I wanted to ask you too about falling. What?
Oh yeah.
What are you thinking, man? Like when you see, so for example, there was a scene with Tyler when she was fighting all of us in ski masks, and there was a part where, Ray, you start looking at the wall, and you're like, I got an idea, and we knew you could fall, but then you had this idea where you would do a front suicide into the wall, and then what? Fall on your back? And you had this idea in your head, like, oh yeah, I'll just do that. And Dennis came up and he took you aside for a minute and he said, Ray, we've got a long movie ahead of us here.
This is one of the first things that we were filming. Yes,
first things that we're filming.
We're all masked.
Maybe do this at the end of the movie. And you're like, no, I can do this. And you did a fall that's like never. I don't think it's ever been done before that. Unless you've seen it somewhere.
It has.
But we need to name it then.
Is it like a? Yeah. Did you see that in WWE or something? Because I guess they've done that against the turnbuckles.
So you know what? It's a funny thing because I'm working on that game, and we just 2024 just came out, and they asked me to do something. One of the moves was the guy, old Japanese wrestler, does a move similar to that on the turnbuckle. He jumps, goes on the turnbuckle, kicks it, and does a front fall. But I did the opposite, and I showed it to them. But one of the wrestlers that we work with, Dennis worked with him in another thing. But Dennis, can you tell him the story about the kabuki and
the
can you tell that story? Well, anyways,
I can if you want. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways,
you're breaking up
Dennis
a
was
little.
talking to. My internet is. You guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear.
Turn
you.
off your. You might have to turn off your.
Okay, hold on. Anyway.
Your.
Oh, how do I do that? Oh shit.
Video. Yes.
Okay. You hit that video button.
Okay.
There we go.
I'm gonna stop. All right. So basically, Dennis was talking to this youngin that we work with, and then the guy was saying something like, "Oh yeah, Ray's so great, seeing his stuff." And Dennis mentioned something like, "Yeah, some stuff that you will never see," because I was just stupid enough to be like, "Hey, Den, we're at the Kabuki Theater. There's this like there's this set of stairs, like 30 steps. Why don't you just push me and I'll just like dive and just roll down?"
I remember that.
Yeah, see? He remembers that, right? Just to see if I could do it. And I think we might have seen like a Hong Kong movie, and I just said, fuck it. I wanted to try it out, and I just wanted to do it. And there's a part, in San Francisco, Sunset Boulevard. If you hit Sunset Boulevard at 35 miles an hour, you will hit every green light. And I told Dan, we were in his convertible, and I said, Den, the top was down. I go, Den, just pull over to the right and just keep on going. And I just jump out and just roll on the grass. It was grass, by the way. Jump, roll out, and Dennis had to like circle back, and I was yelling like, yeah. And I would do stuff like that, like all the time, just to see if I could do it. And no pads, no nothing, and no cameras. And I just like, it's because in Hapkido, there's, a lot of throws that we do. And there's always the guy teaching it, and then there's the uke, we say, the person taking the falls, right? And I was the favorite uke. I was the favorite guy to just fall.
Yes.
I'd do the move, and I'd flip, and I'd make. In fact, like in some black belt tests, some of the students who are like up for the black belt test, they would ask me to fall for them.
They would ask.
You'd be a stuntman for other students.
Yes.
Yes. And I always told him, like, hey, give me like $500. I'll do it for you. Like, I mean, because it makes you look. He makes people look good. Like, he's really a good baller. Like, you could just like, and like do like a magic palm strike, and Ruel like jumped 10 feet in the air, and it looked real.
Yeah. So I mean, if you remember, if you've seen like some of Dennis's movies, like some of the stuff that we were doing in his movies, like what was that one where we did like I just did a gainer fall, no pads, it was on hardwood. I just didn't care. And
yeah, you were crazy. But one thing, Ray, brother, I gotta say, you're one of the most impressive fallers. Not just to say you're my brother, but like from fallers, thanks. When you see movies and you see people fall, they fall and they're like, boom. It's like, oh, he fell.
Yeah.
Right. But when you fall, it's like, oh.
Everybody runs over to Ray to make sure he's okay.
Yeah, but
every time
because you think he's hurt, because it doesn't look physically possible to land.
No, it looks wrong. Yeah,
it looks wrong.
Yeah, it looks
but
bad.
it's right for the scene.
Good, yeah,
it looks good.
I got a little story to tell you about BioShock Infinite, and this is before EMTs, before like stunt coordinators, before all of that. In fact, we are the stunt coordinators in those games now. But we were the talent then. I had to jump off of a trampoline, and then get shot, right? And there's a guy on Zoom in the computer, and then like I'm doing it so many different ways. Like get struck, I jump off on a trampoline, get struck, fall down onto a pad, right? And the guy goes, "Oh yeah, that's great. Can you fall slower?" And I'm like, I'll try, but I literally what I did was I jumped up and I kind of paused and like I hit a weird like I don't know pose, and then like stalled it, and then like last second just like braced myself, and then he was like, yeah, that's what I was looking for, and I was like, how can I like slow down gravity? I don't know.
You're an animator.
You go to a different planet.
Yeah.
Obviously. You go to like Jupiter or something.
Right? Of course, but yeah.
But you cheat.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you fall slower? But that's
Yes.
Like... By the way, when I played BioShock Infinite, one of the greatest games ever made, I was trying to I would literally crouch down and look at NPCs going like, that kind of looks like it could be Ray. That seems like his mannerisms.
It was. So there's one part in the trailer that I know there's like one clip that you'd see on online, and it was literally all of the characters, the NPCs were there. It was me and Dennis.
Yep. So you guys danced together, right? There's a scene you were dancing like on a dock.
We were dancing, and we were the singers, and we were the musicians. All of us.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I'd go when I played the second time. I'd literally go and be like, totally Ray. that looks like Dennis, I think. Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
Dennis, I remember asking you. I don't want to deviate from Contour too much because Contour is a very fascinating and rich topic. But I remember, Dennis, I played it before you played it. I said, "Who did you play?" And you described the villain. I'm like, that's the villain of the game, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. Like, that's a big deal, man.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I get to hang out with my friends from the comfort of my PlayStation, which is very cool.
Yeah.
But anyways,
so have you solved how to fall in slow motion yet? Like, can you do that now? Have you mastered it?
I think I have.
Do you just drink like a lot of bubble water and like you changed, you know? But as a not actually martial artist, amongst martial arts masters and performers like yourselves, I was always blown away by everything you guys would do, and the work, again, when we'd stand around and workshop, oh, it should be this kick and that kick, kind of what this conversation's been the past 20 minutes, is sort of like these nuances of falls and kicks. It was always just absolutely incredible to be like, oh, it should be a roundhouse instead of a side kick, because that'd make this cooler. And Eric, you're talking about this being like a jazz band. It absolutely was, because sometimes that improv stuff would hit the planning and it'd be like, and then suddenly I'd just see one of you come up with, oh, it should be this kick, and then the whole thing would be tied together like the rug of the Big Lebowski. It would just tie the whole sequence together. It was just really fun, and all of you kind of have these different paradigms of martial arts that each of you have. Like Ed, you're really good at this wushu stuff. You know, Dennis, you got these kicks. You know, Ray and Troy were just talking about like the falls and the power moves, and Eric, you got like a Buster Keaton, Jackie physical storytelling thing going on. Every shot was like mixing ingredients to make a meal. Each shot was a meal, you know? And that's really cool. Like, seeing you guys dissect these moves and stuff is like, right, we're doing that there standing in the stinky warehouse.
So Steve, when you're talking about that, you know, and I think about undercut. When you talk like that, I think about undercut, because in my head I'm always thinking, okay, how does Steve put words on paper the way that we put kicks in choreography?
Okay.
You know, like you would come up with like story and elements and things like that, and I don't know. I mean, I have to say too, a lot of the gags you wrote in Contour, like the 15 seconds gag. There were a whole lot of gags that you wrote.
What was the 15 seconds gag?
Yeah, it was, you know, Dennis saying, you know how much 15 seconds means to people like us? Everything, right? And then you're like, well, what about the 15 seconds it took for you to just say that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, right.
Right?
I'm like, was that the long shot? The 15 seconds? Yeah.
Yeah, because I sent you the script. In the script, I have it. It's in here. It's 40 pages, and it's just like, it's 40 pages for a 100-minute movie. And you sent it back with like a bunch of these like one-liners all over it. Is that I don't know. Were you studying any kind of, like, did you have any storytelling resources that you read? Like, what were your inspirations as a storyteller?
That's a good question. I think it's a mix of things. I did take some screenwriting classes. I'm not sure they provided me much or not, but one of the great schools was DVD special features and commentaries by the writers and directors, and just going, oh, which, by the way, we take for granted now, because all of that is infinitely everywhere on YouTube. And I actually seek it out less than when it's like, oh, I bought the $40 DVD, which was all of my paycheck from working at the mall. And then I actually worked at a video store just for the discounts, just so I could get more DVDs, just so I could listen to more commentaries, you know? I think there's that, but then also, again, it was rebelling against what was at the time and what I wanted to be fed, which Hollywood wasn't feeding us, which was like fun mixed with, like, when do you take things seriously? When is there, emotion? When is emotion a stupid, sugary thing that shouldn't be there? When is it the right ingredient? I guess to answer your question, it's just sort of just whatever my taste is. As any artist, like, that's just your taste, right? And when it came to the gags and the one-liners, I think, well, how about this? For Contour in particular, rather anytime we all work together, because we do this on Undercut, we do this on our little short films and stuff like that. We were given a very fertile situation which is sometimes, like, let's say it was one of my things I do. I'm a super planner. I'm obsessed with the planning, like months in advance if possible, tons of notes. But then other times the real magic happens where it's just shooting the shit there, you know? And there's something we're very good at. And God, I think I mentioned this to Dennis recently. It's like, you know, on real film sets where time is money and you can't just dilly-dally and just be having fun the whole time. We were able to do that. And there is something magical about just playing as opposed to the intellectual act of, I am writing, we are executing what I wrote, which has to happen sometimes. And sometimes that's the correct answer and that leads to good results. But there is a magic too. We'd just stand around and be like, you know, it'd be cool. Yeah. You know, it'd be cool. And that is the best. And that would be with fighting. That would be with lines. That would be with shot ideas, or even like, you know, this scene would look better if it was over there, you know, or I don't know if this ever actually happened, but I think we discussed it. Like, hey, what if we just, this scene, it's going to be difficult to get to it, or we can't get this one person to help. Why don't we just do it at this different location? It's about this instead, you know? Yeah. And actually, so when it comes to answer your question, I don't have a good answer for you, but thank you.
Well, I remember. Well, I'll say this though. Like when I would go to your house, you always had like interesting. Well, first of all, I remember all the DVDs, except you didn't have the movie DVDs. You had like the second DVD every time. Like you never had the movie.
That's where the education was.
That's what you watched. And but then you had stuff like Wonder Chosen and these weird sort of like. Yeah, you remember these things? Yeah, and like that was an interesting time when. Okay, if movies are going to be super serious, then animation was starting to just like kick ass with comedy and just do like really kind of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
How much? Because you did a lot of animation too. So how much of your inspiration was from that?
Well, like a weird side note of the animation is I remember while we were working on Contour, I was learning After Effects and I was really getting to the point where I could like animate, you know, still pictures that have some personality and stuff. And a friend of mine who I taught every single night. Because I stayed up till 5:30 in the morning every night. That's just who I was. And he was always up online also. And I'm like, hey man, he was going through hard times. And I'm like, how about I pay you like $90 and you make a 1-minute song for me and I'll animate a little martial arts thing for it. It's called Fuzzy Ninja. And he's like, sure, I really appreciate it. You know, $90, wow. Dude, a year later, he's world famous, this guy. It was Deadmau5. Right? Like, this is the weirdest thing. And I would sit there at stunt practice, because by the way, stunt practice, every Sunday, we'd all meet up at the school Dennis Dennis had Hapkido USA, that Eric and Andy would teach at. And it was huge, a 2-story martial arts dojo, amazing. So, and we'd sit around, we'd do all this, we'd practice, we'd shoot stuff, we'd just work out. And I'd sometimes sit in the lobby on a laptop, animating stuff, you know what I mean? So I was animating this Deadmau5 thing, and he was like, "Oh, you paid me $90." Now the dude's like worth like $100 million. But anyway, that was an aside. When it comes,
throw me a bone, dude.
Hey, what?
He's like, dude,
throw me a freaking bone. Come on. But Eric, sorry, I deviated so much I forgot the original question. Eric disappeared.
I forgot too. I'm looking for my script. I was asking you, like, if you had inspirations also from. Animations at the time.
Oh, well, okay. Yeah, okay. Yes, I remember. My answer is nowadays, anything we want to see, we can see it. But if you remember between like the early 90s until, I don't know, 2007, we'll say, how about this, 1991 to 2007, we were fed with, I've never seen that before. I'm going to say it began with Terminator 2. This isn't accurate. There was stuff before Star Wars 1977. We're getting stuff we've never seen before, but I'm going to start Terminator 2. We saw things that were beyond belief, and because visual effects, CG was beginning, right? And it's like, oh my God, that idea I've always had in my head, there are now the rudimentary tools to execute it. But it was still janky and limited. But then animation, especially anime, right? Akira and whatnot, it's like, oh, you are breaking the laws of reality. A camera could never do this. A camera could never do this. An edit could never do this. A human could never do this. But in animation or with rudimentary visual effects, we were starting to get fed that. And that type of novelty comes with a lot of energy. So I just really, I had a very kinetic. I know where a kinetic style came from. When I was a little kid, I used to make short films with the home video camera. From the point of view of a fly. So the main character was a fly, and it'd fly into it'd have to like escape the oven, and stuff like that. So that's where this whole whoa stuff would come from. It was like, oh yeah, that was really cool when I made my short films where the camera is a fly. And so that created this desire to seek out content that really gave us something we've never seen before in the way of like, how are we looking at things? What's the tone? What's the combination of tones? What's the energy? Energy was hard to come by back then. And I think just because technically it was hard to make energetic content, now it's very easy because literally we could do anything we want. And I think we'll always be hungry for the next thing. There's always going to be something we've never seen before, but it might not be in the way of visuals because we are fed everything we want. Ant-Man Quantumania, don't like the movie. It's wild because like here's a movie where every shot is something human eyes have never seen before if we just went back 10, 15 years, Do you
think that that's like is that the equivalent of having like new vocabulary?
Kind of. I wouldn't say equivalent, but you're in the right ballpark. We love novelty, which is I've never seen that before. I've never tasted that before. I've never heard music like that before. Rap and electronic music was invented in our lifetimes. So when it hit, it's like, what is this? What? And our brains just go, they get bigger because it's like, oh, I have to create like new neurons for this new experience. And I think sometimes like roller coasters can be like that. Movies can be like that. We used to see, all of us, all of society, we'd see a horrible movie and love it because it had special effects that we've never seen before. And that's the only reason you go see it. New vocabulary, I think, does have a novelty, and it does become like a consensual cultural thing for bonding and whatnot. But I think when it comes to art, when you see or hear or play that thing you've never experienced before, you get a rush of energy that you will eventually get numb to. Nowadays, everything's a 4K TV. Right. Nowadays, we're used to the iPhones, but when we first saw the imagery of a 4K TV, when we first played with an iPhone and sent a video to our friends instantly, that was phenomenal. And I think when cinema gets to do that, it's so special. And I think that's something we're always trying to do. Personally, that's always something I'm interested in. And that's sort of, so not novelty. And now you don't need novelty to be good, by the way. Sometimes leaning too much on novelty, I'm guilty of this. Absolutely. It's like, oh, let me just load it with as much novelty as possible. That could actually get very boring also. You know what I mean? So there's also a fine line. But anyway, yeah. So, but novelty was something I was very much seeking, say, when we were playing with our stuff. Oh, they're doing the coolest punching and kicking and falling I've ever seen. What's a beautiful way or kinetic way or unique way to show it? And we'd always play with these tricks. I sometimes while you guys were choreographing, I'd be like, hey, it'd be kind of cool. We got this long shot. It's a wide shot. There's no possible way. There's a ladder behind the camera. So what we'll secretly do is while you guys are doing these moves, I'll hand the camera to someone else, reach through a ladder. They'll hand it back to me. Now there's a ladder around me, and they'll pull the ladder away from me and use it as a weapon. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that was exclusively, I went to like, how can we surprise people? This is a new thing. How can we surprise people? They've never seen it before. Maybe this has never occurred before. So let's try it, And then when it occurs, the flow and the rhythm of the fight scene is so amazing because all of you are so good at it. And then this moment happens, it's like, what? And you get all this new energy real quick. And back then it was so rare. So it felt really special to do it. Now it's a little less special. Because we're overfed with media that gives us everything we want all the time. So I think going back to the basics of just of storytelling might actually be the yummy thing nowadays. Because we're so detached from basic humanity, perhaps. Maybe that's what we need. Maybe we need more reflection of what it means to be human. That doesn't need to be boring, although I also like the boring philosophical stuff. So anyway, that's sort of, there's a basket of ideas of where some of this
thanks, man. It's always, that kind of stuff is, it's always like building blocks of cinema. It's like how do you take an idea and put it into language, right? And how do you make something that's like without just being like just falling on like cheap novelty, like you said. Like, well, is there a way for us to like open up a new idea? Like, I read this thing the other day about the when the Spanish invaded Mexico, and when the Aztecs, when they saw the horses and the men on the horses, they didn't know that like the man and the horse were different. They thought that it was like one
look
thing.
At this creature.
Because they'd never seen it. They thought it was like a big deer with two heads. They'd never seen it before. And so they kind of like, and then like the cannons, Cortez would convince them like, oh, these cannons have their own minds, right? Like he would fire a cannonball and he's like, all right, now that thing's going to come back and kill you if you're not, you know. So it's like new idea. But then eventually they get it and it's like, oh, that just goes that way. And, you know, the horses, we can get these, we'll take these horses.
And if we trade some meat, we can get one of those.
But it just like required like this language update, like you said. But anytime you have a new idea like that, I think I experienced that with Police Story. When I first saw Police Story with Jackie Chan, and seeing bodies move in a new way, which like seems impossible. I've seen people my whole life. Well, why is it when I'm seeing these people, I've seen something I've never seen before? Like it's like a different language, right?
You've just nailed a philosophy behind Pixar's invention by John Lasseter. Fantastic and mundane. It's fantastic because they're moving their bodies in these crazy ways. It's mundane because they're humans and we all have bodies. But so that gap between this is relatable and this is impossible for most people is very cool. I think people really respond to that. It can't, if it's all fantastic or all mundane, it's not the same. Striking that balance, and that's also why the Jackie Chan style that permeates Contour, using relatable objects. The TIE fight, my God, it's just so clever and fun. And the bad guys are tied, or the good guy and the bad guy are tied together, and fantastic and mundane. I know what a tie is. That's not like an alien tentacle or something. It's a tie.
Yeah, we had no idea what we were
I mean?
doing.
Yeah.
We literally were like, this doesn't have to make sense. We just have to make it look like we know what we're doing.
Just add some sound effects.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's tied in a knot
I gotta
now.
add. There's no way that you can recreate how you got tied up. And
No,
it's like,
yeah, I think that there were some times when like there's like a point of no return with this move, and we would tie it. It's like, all right, it's stuck there.
Oh right, yeah.
we could do this once. We ain't getting this untied.
it was like impossible to remember. It was impossible to untie because it was like so taut.
No, there was
Oh my God, it's like they merged, like the molecules of both ties became like the same one thing. Well, actually, so Eric, you've asked us a lot of questions. I want to throw some of them back to you. What's your favorite moment in memory? Those are two different questions.
My favorite. Okay, I'll give you a general favorite moment. So every night I would go back to wherever I was staying.
Yeah,
wherever it was, and I had this like, I had a briefcase which had my laptop, which is this old Dell laptop, and then I had the camera, and you'd have to go from tape to. I'd have a capture card, and I had a PCMCIA card that I put in the side. That's the capture card.
My God.
And I'd get on the floor, and I would load all the footage, I'd capture all of it, and I would edit, and I'd just spend hours and hours editing, and I would do a final edit. Like this is final. This is good enough to release now. And I would bring to you guys, or I'd upload, and I'd hide it in a folder called trash, and I would bring it to the location. And what I loved was when we watched it, everybody would sort of get on the same page, and everyone was like, okay, here's where we are with the movie, and we would all give feedback like, I didn't like that shot, right? Like, Dennis might say, I didn't like my kick there. And all of us go, Dennis, your kick's fine. It looks perfect. He's like, no, I want to do that kick again. It would be like, all right, cool, we'll do the kick again. And then you say, okay, we got it, great, we move on. So we were all kind of like buying in all the time. And that feeling to me was like, that was the best, because it felt then like we just had a ship that was just sailing at that point. It was really
it was very cool that after extraordinarily difficult days, you'd go home and edit for like 6 hours and then wake up 4 hours later sometimes, and we'd do it again. But we'd get to see it and be excited, like, oh, that's really cool. And then like it was really meaningful, whatever we were doing that day, because we were like continuing it.
Yeah, because nobody was getting paid. Everybody was getting hurt. Everybody was just like sleep deprived and young, and we were all going to school or doing who knows what. We were homeless.
Working
who knows?
at the mall.
Yeah. So that was my I lived for that moment when everybody could watch what they had done. I would live for that every day. In terms of like a particular moment, I think that end fight when we all fell down the stairs together. It's the last shot in the movie. I knew it'd be the last shot in the movie, and that was my Pink Panther bookend, by the way. Because Pink Panther movies, they always start with an animation, and they always end with a slow-mo shot of the entire world falling to shit. And,
yeah, like really long slow motion.
Yeah, super long, and everything just gets destroyed. And I think that's beautiful. It's a great way to end a movie where you just destroy everything. And it just, I don't know, that night was so special because we destroyed Donovan's house. And he was so mad. And we destroyed his banister.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Me, by the way, I'll take credit for that.
Well, here's the funny thing, Ray. I don't think he saw it.
Well, he was in the front.
Yeah, I don't think he saw it happen. We did a playback. I think I saw it, and we didn't say anything.
I saw it.
You saw
and
it?
I was like, oh no.
Yeah. So that was my favorite moment in the movie. I wanted to ask one more question, and then I want to take questions from the audience. Troy.
Wait, we have an audience?
We have an audience of 45 people that are
eager to ask
questions right now. They are in they're in the chat. If you go to the live stream link, I'll drop it in this chat right now. Here, I'll drop it in here. You guys can look. Just make sure you mute the video. Oops. Make sure you mute the video. Otherwise, we will all hear that. All right. It's in chat. There it is.
Okay.
So okay, the question I have for Troy.
Yes.
When we had this crazy idea of doing a baseball bat fight.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't really remember what the idea was, but I do remember saying, look, we got some baseball bats. We got to beat up 5 guys in a room. When you think about hurting somebody with a stick,
yeah,
somebody who's much smaller than you, as they usually are,
right.
Like what did you want to try when you were doing that scene? Like what were you interested in? You have Hapkido experience, but you have a Screamo experience too. What were you trying to accomplish as a martial artist?
What, during the scene?
Yeah, because you and Ray designed that whole baseball bat scene. So
oh yeah, I don't know.
I mean, you had something to do with it too, because the stuff with the bats, me catching them in my armpits, that's definitely a Jackie Chan inspired, definitely, and I think that was your idea.
I mean, I could give the framework, but you guys came up with the meat and potatoes of all of it.
The flow of it, yeah. Go ahead, Troy.
Well, we I don't know. We were just having fun. We were just playing around, and basically that's how I think about martial arts myself. It's kind of a game to me. Yeah, it's it's serious. We're hitting each other, but it's kind of cool that we're there's a counter for a counter. There's a thing that we do in the martial art that we it's called Serrata Eskrima, and there's a counter for counter. So you can do these long-winded combinations and look pretty cool, and
it's not structured. That's another thing. It's that if I give you something, you react to it and you give it to me back. So it's not quite fighting, but it looks like it is, and it looks really fast. But if I'm giving you something, you'll defend it, and then you'll give me something, and then it'll just keep on going, and you'll just float. Yeah. And then that actually helped with us with the Hapkido too, because Hapkido is all about fluidity and moving a certain way, right? And
now wait a minute, hold on. Now when I watch Steven Seagal doing his things, isn't that what he's doing, or is he approaching it differently?
It's differently. He's just bringing stuff.
You're talking about then in the Santo. So Dan and DeSanto, oh man, he's like, come on, sticks, and then he just does this.
And they're just like twirling pads in the air. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. It was
and
fun.
Then I remember this, and then Dan and DeSanto does this, and then Steven Seagal goes this, and he goes and then takes him out. So that's not quite what we were doing.
If I remember, you two were always practicing that stuff. Just like if we're at a restaurant waiting to be seated.
We pull out the knives and forks. Yeah.
We'd stab each other with forks.
Yeah. Here, Ray. Yeah. Oh, no. Just start doing it. It's like, guys.
By the way, quick side note, sentimental memory. We'd do stunt training for like 12 hours sometimes. And then we'd go out to dinner. But sometimes like 20 of us, and we'd each order like 2 entrees each because of like all the the restaurant would look at us when we'd come in and just be like, oh,
these guys again. Stunt practice again, huh, guys? Great.
But remember, we used to go to that Vietnamese place.
Yeah.
Is that where we got the Thai pho from, or?
I think the Thai pho was a Thai bo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thai pho.
Yeah. Eric, you verify this because you this is your idea that I filled in with my incredible acting abilities.
Oh man,
with much sarcasm. But also I'm Vietnamese, so I think a big part of it is, I mean, Eric and I were always in the car together when we'd go film stuff like the years before Contour. Undercut. We drove all around California for that. So we're just always talking. You know what I mean? And yeah, since I'm half Vietnamese, I think we're just talking about like Vietnamese food and literally combining it with Thai bo and also sham martial arts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I think that was the time period when David Carradine was selling his stick food or whatever that stupid.
Yeah,
there was so much of that.
Oh, there's all this cheese. Look,
I mean, to this day, I still, when I am on Instagram or whatever, and I just see like the fake sensei who's severely out of shape, and like 90 of his students come up and he goes, and they all just go, oh, and they fall to the ground.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, what cult is this? Like, you
remember we did that with Lucas and Kuma?
Yeah.
Say what?
Yeah, we did Ki Master Okuma, and I put that on YouTube, and everybody thought it was real. Everybody thought it was like a real fake Ki, right? So of all my videos on the YouTube channel, everything gets like a 99%. The stunt people stuff is like 99% out of 100 thumbs up. That one's like 65% thumbs down because they thought it was an actual, guy claiming
too real.
They're like, how dare you? This is so fake, and I just respond like, it's not fake. I filmed it with my, I found it on TV. It's not fake.
In fact, it's not even a camera. I'm astral projecting it into the hard drive.
You pulled an Andy Kaufman, man.
Yeah, it was our Kaufman piece.
Well, to even go further, you should have charged people to take a class on that.
Oh, I tell you what. Yeah.
Well, I did sell the video at the end for $29.95 plus,
right?
Plus $9.95 shipping from your local. If
so I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, if I remember correctly, you got the idea for Contour when you were filming Undercut. Is that correct?
Yeah. I have a photo. I'm gonna put it in the live stream right now. But Reedy, what the hell were we doing? So like we were at.
I remember. Oh, well, we might have different stories, but I have a distinct memory. Solid gold in my brain.
What is yours?
Okay, so Undercut, boy, was it brutal, and it was a heat wave, and you were always wearing like a jacket with garbage bags. Like, I don't know why you're alive still. So a couple times we're very lucky. My dad had a pool, so we'd just go in the pool, right? And we'd be talking about Undercut stuff, and I think it was around the time we're just about done shooting Undercut. We had maybe some pickups or some stuff like that, and there are 2 elements. So this is one of the 2 elements in my memory. So one of them was since we had 0 money, it's like, we're very fortunate. We're in California. We're near San Francisco. If only there was like an excuse to film at every beautiful location, because that was sort of an idea behind an Undercut. A lot of our locations where we could get it and it's free and it looks kind of expensive. It's better than just a backyard. You know what I mean? And then through ping ponging back and forth, and we're laying on floaties, like the water donuts. just like dead and trying to recover from the heat wave. And it's like, like a tour guide or something, like that makes sense, because then we could just steal all these locations. They look expensive. Golden Gate Bridge in the background, Coit Tower in the background. And then combining that with, there was one shot in Undercut where you invented a character, and you hit Gavin.
Yeah, this one.
With a pineapple?
Yeah, it was a pineapple.
Yeah.
I have a photo of it. I'm putting it on the live stream if you want to see it, but
it's a quick blip, and then that must have put a light bulb over your head, and I don't know why, but you invented that character, because I basically said, yeah, we just need a dude to go, and then you created everything else, and you're like, that's the guy. And then now you filled these gaps, and I'm wondering if then the tour guide conversation when we're delirious and dying in the pool, and then that character you created became one.
Oh, maybe.
And so you run with that. So tell me, am I accurate? Is there more?
No, that's pretty. That's probably filling in all the gaps that I had. It's goofy because like that's where ideas come from. One picture.
Who was this character you created for Undercut? Because I believe we're in Reading.
Yeah.
You were crashing at your mom's place during this couple days.
Yeah.
And and thus you had clothes there. Yeah. So you're just like, yeah, I got an idea. It'll be this dude. And you like fell in love with that character you built.
Yeah, I became him. Story of my life. Why do we have a pineapple? Why was Gavin dressed like a caveman? There are many unanswered questions, but maybe that's okay.
Well, I can answer half of that, but half of it was you. I'm like, well, let's just be super. Oh, I know. Oh my God, I know what it was. The beginning of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. There was one moment when like I barely remember parts of it, but for some reason they're narrating a story, and their car, I believe it was a Stingray, has to like drive over here, and then in the foreground is a monk just doing this, and then later the car goes back and the monk is still there doing this, and that was so silly and dumb and made no sense that I sort of like stole that formula of randomness from that movie. Yeah, and I said, so it needs to be random and weird.
Yeah.
And then, so that was it. And I think then you went into the house and you're like, okay, here's my random weird character.
Right.
And it's like, well, what is the weapon? And I don't know, there was a pineapple, I think. You're like, okay,
I don't
pineapple.
know where we got that pineapple, but yeah, we got one.
The sound effect will be fun.
Hey, quick question, guys. Yeah. What was the time between Undercut and Contour? Like at the start of Contour, the end of... Because I remember when I first met you guys, Steve, and you were up for that award, and we had to vote. And you remember how it's like, I had like 3 laptops, and I was voting for Undercut. Yeah, but remember that?
And I want y'all to know,
right?
It was the MTV one, right.
I got a job in movie marketing because Undercut got so many votes that they disqualified it. But
I'm sorry.
Someone
at an
ad agency was paying attention to this.
Oh no! Don't blame me. No.
No, but also, like we were marketing this thing like crazy. So actually, by being disqualified for being accused of cheating, by being popular, I got a job at an ad agency. like that's weird, right?
Yeah.
So, but what was the time gap? Eric, help me with this because I think I might be wrong here. But was Undercut
August?
Yeah, so
it was
Undercut...
the hottest day and place on planet Earth in Cottonwood that day.
Yes, and we had a hose, a garden hose, and we would just do this every 5 minutes.
And then it would be gone.
It would evaporate.
And I was wearing a garbage bag. I don't know how I lived.
I think the garden hose kept us all alive.
It might have.
We were crispy.
Yeah,
our
it was
sunburn
gross.
was
gross,
bloody and crispy.
So I think we we must have shot that like August, I think, and then
would that be then 2003 summer 2003?
2004.
Was it 4? Okay.
Yeah, and then like late November, early December, first shot off. I have a schedule for Contour right here. I pulled up the script. I'm looking at the end fight from me and Dennis. It literally says, "Law and Tick fight. Tick is way too powerful. Law doesn't mind the pain, but can't get a hit in. Then a rat scurries across the room. Tick flips out and tries to smash it. Oh, we didn't even do this gag. Law stops.
I had a pet rat at the time. I think that might have been.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Law stops Tick kicks him away. Tick is weak. Law does a jump around back kick. Law does a gainer half on into an axe. Law wins. That's the whole fight. Half a paragraph.
And what's the date on that?
I remember there used to be there was this thing about how the ticker character had this crazy hearing, and it was cut out. And
that's right.
You remember all that? It's like I heard the box be flipped at me, and then I was counting bullets in the beginning.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I think it was hard for us to just visualize that.
There was a whole side story that, not story, but in the fights that we never.
So you just did undercut, and then straight went to contour.
Yeah, how many? What was it? Months? Months?
It was
years.
I have my schedule right here.
When we first started hanging out at the stunt practices, I remember watching undercut before it was finished, like the band fight. And,
Yes.
Yeah.
What took the most time in post was the music, which Anton Patzner over-delivered on,
and then that's how we met Matt.
He needed to.
Yeah, that's how we met Matt Lucas.
Because Matt was doing post with you guys, and then he came in. So you guys were kind of in. You guys were kind of in post when we were all doing the stunt practice.
Yeah, Matt Lucas came in with that
I
day.
do remember. Yeah, I remember Matt Lucas came in, and he was like,
cool,
"I just tried to meet these guys," and
that was cool.
But I just remember that we were all, me, Troy, and Den were like so sad that we weren't a part of Undercut because we had met you after fact. And I was like, oh man, like we wish that we had been part of that because that was, dude, it's like, that opening sequence in the van, oh God, it's amazing.
Yeah, that was great.
That set sort of the mix of planning plus improv we've been speaking about. That was where we got to really do it as a group. Because at first I believe it was Eric, it was you and me and Andy and Ed. Like it was just the four of us.
Yeah, when we did Escapee.
Brutal. I think was the day I met all of you.
Brutal.
Oh yeah,
that was it.
Yeah.
Steve,
and Escapee. Oh my God! Sorry. Side note: in Escapee, you got a concussion, and we were like keeping you up all night. So
that wasn't good.
And not only that, the shot didn't go all the way down. So the moment you got the concussion.
No, you know what? I have a theory on that, Steve. I have a theory on that. I think that sometimes it's good not to catch the fall entirely. I think it gives the impression. Even though I know it's kind of like heretical to say that, but it gives the impression that like, oh crap, this guy's falling, and like when you slightly miss something, that's my justification for you not catching my concussion. So,
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Because I still remember the landscape that I was seeing when that happened. Dude, that was scary. Ray, when the back the back armor hit you in the base of the skull.
Boy.
Ed, when I tore your ACL, I think.
Oh man!
Oh my God!
I threw you and you landed. Your knee kind of landed sideways. You had a vulnerable ACL, so I only take partial credit for that.
Yeah.
Well, then I went to do a flip on the trampoline with Dennis like a day later.
You tore that thing like 4 times during Contour.
I know, that's crazy.
Every fall you guys do is all crazy to me. Every single one. You guys are all three of you guys, Eric, Ray, and Ed, Andy. Jesus, man. Every time you guys make falls, it's the craziest shit.
So Andy, you remember this? Eric? I told Dennis this yesterday, but Andy would get hurt from like the weirdest things, right?
Dude.
But then he'd go, "Don't worry, I put some tiger paw on it." Right? Do you remember this? And then Eric, you go, no, it's tiger balm. Right? And then Andy goes, why would a tiger have a bomb?
No. You know what blew me away was Andy like hot dogs and donuts all day and be in like peak physical health. I'm like,
Andy would heal. Andy would heal from every injury in a week.
Yeah,
his body was like a science fiction machine.
You just pour some some of the rubbing stuff on there, and then a week later, it's like never.
I have videos of Andy doing gainers and landing on his head, and doing a wall flip and landing on his head, and he'll put his hands behind his back and go say, "I'm fine," and he'll get up.
Yeah.
I remember he broke his foot. He broke his freaking foot.
Yeah.
He's like, I put some Tiger Balm on it, wrapped it up, and he was like back to shooting. And I'm like,
What?
is your foot okay, dude? He's like, oh yeah, I just broke it.
His attitude was so funny
idea,
because
Eric?
it was just, I'm fine. It's like,
Yeah.
what?
Fine.
You got shot in
You
the
had an
head.
idea.
Robitussin on it. You know?
I thought you had an idea for Andy to be like head of a cane and use it with his kicks, support his kicks, right?
That's right. We did have that idea. I
Mhm.
forgot about that. Yeah, and so speaking of injuries too, yeah, Ed, you tore your ACL not on set. Let's be clear. You were doing wushu. And we were about ready to shoot your fight, and you're like, "Hey guys, something happened." Did jump outside the bow stance. We're like, "What are you talking about, Ed?" He's like, when you stick the bow stance in wushu, we're like, we don't know what that means, Ed. And you're like, tore my ACL. We're like, oh, how long?
Long time.
A long time.
How is it now, by the way? Like, does it ever fully heal?
No, but I mean, it's actually not bad, surprisingly.
Just
But
put
I
some
think
Tiger
where I
Balm
live
on
now, I have stairs, so I feel like maybe going up and down the stairs conditions it. I don't know. It's okay.
Well, if it gives you trouble and Tiger Balm's not enough, use Tiger Balm.
There you go.
Red.
Yeah.
Because the red kind is like $1 more, so it has to be that. and it smells more like the warehouse we filmed in than the.
Oh yeah, same smell. Same smell.
All right, I wanted to get while we still got some people in the chat. I wanted to get to some trivia and do some giveaways. Hold on, I'm on headphones. I gotta get the goods real quick.
We need the
So
trivia music.
What we got
So
here?
I just looked at the chat the
So,
past few minutes.
first
and I've seen
thing-
some old friends in there.
First thing I'm gonna give away, I've got some sealed original black and blue contour DVDs. I got 3 of them.
Yes.
Heyo.
These are, again, they're DVDs. Good luck finding a player nowadays. They have all the behind the scenes, and and it has the annoying crop, but it's the original cut, same cut that you just saw. All right, so first trivia question. So there is a stuntman who said that they doubled Riki Hashimoto in Fists of Fury for his huge fall where he flies across the screen. Who was this stuntman? Whoever answers first gets a sealed contour black and blue DVD. And if you need a hint, he has been in another Bruce Lee movie. You blink and you miss him. And all right, let's see if anybody answers that one. So, let's see what we got here. No answers yet. That's all right. First person to answer gets a contour DVD. So, we have some questions for the audience I want to jump into. So, Secret Surname asks, hey, Gentle Storm, Virgil says, so it's Jackie Chan. You got it, man. So, Gentle Storm,
Yay, DVD.
email me. I'm going to give you my...
Rub his nose on that one.
I'm going to give you my email address. Yeah. So we got Gentle Storm Virgil. Got it. So go ahead and email me, business@ericjacobus.com, and I'll get you your contour DVD.
Oh, you better sign it, Eric.
If you'd like it signed, I'm happy to sign it. Just let me know. Okay, so this one goes to Gentle.
Well, that's weird. When I go in chat, I don't see anything other than that one time Eric posted to everybody. I must be doing this wrong.
Are you in Zoom chat?
I'm late to
Yeah.
chat.
Oh no, he said the
YouTube chat.
YouTube
The
chat.
YouTube
All right,
chat.
never mind.
So one of the questions we had from Secret Surname was, are some of the other videos and films going to be upscaled like Contour? That all depends. Micah Brock was the one who let me know about his upscaling.
Brock!
Yeah, Micah Brock upscaled Contour.
Oh,
if there are some that people would like to see upscaled, we could-
How is that done, by the way?
AI.
It works pretty good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, when you get a chance, look at the upload for Contour. It looks
Yeah, for sure.
killer. Another question from Davina Duckworth, and feel free to ask your questions, everybody, in the chat. Did the concrete floors make things tricky?
Oh,
Yes.
dude.
Yes.
Yeah, the problem, I remember, actually, that's a huge memory because my shoes were like ice skates sometimes when I was with...
Dude, but remember how you MacGyvered it?
Well, I don't remember, actually. Did we mess
tape,
up the
right?
bottom?
Was it water?
Water.
Oh, yeah, we did water.
Oh my
It was
God.
Water would make it stick a little bit.
The water.
Paradoxically.
Yeah.
I just remember I thought it was in the behind the scenes or something, but we were doing something and we kept sliding like that, and then I just started, saying, "Hey, Eric, look at this! Shh, look at this!" Shh. And then we had to figure out something because we were.
It's the same thing. Same thing with Ed. Ed, you were in your Fayus. You were sliding around in the fight scene.
In the warehouse.
At the end.
I think that was part of the reason why when the chain came off, because Ed, you were spazzing out so hard, and then when you pulled it, it bounced all over, and right.
You can see me slip. I mean, you see me slip like that.
Yeah,
and
also baby powder made it slippery, but baby powder plus water. Is that a correct memory?
We
like
figured out some sorcery to make that work.
We were always just trying weird little floor things.
I think we tried Coca-Cola at one point.
That's right.
It was a nightmare.
It was
But here, I have another theory on this, which was that we were all watching Hong Kong films at the time, and then Hong Kong films speed things up, and there was no way to speed up the camera that we were shooting. Which, by the way, I'm going to ask the next trivia question: what camera was used to shoot Contour? And whoever answers that will get this other Contour DVD.
Steve, you can't say. You can't say it, but you said it earlier, but
nobody say. And
don't rewind, people.
And so we were watching these Hong Kong movies. We were trying to go that fast at this breakneck speed, and we couldn't hit it unless we were literally slipping around on our feet, and it created this other kind of style. And when I watch Ed's fight, I see it especially. Ed, when you get the pole, you're running around, and you're like, as you're doing a move, you're sliding into place, and it looks kind of deliberate, but it's that's the only way that you could get into place.
Brother, I think we have a winner.
Manny has got it.
It's Manny.
Manny.
Wait, what number? What number is the DVD?
Manny!
Oh yeah,
Manny, what's up, man?
But you know what? I think we told Manny that one back in the day.
Yeah, you cheated, Manny.
I also said it in the beginning of this, I think.
He was talking about it too.
Manny's
He's just observant.
And then a related question, one more for the third Contour DVD. What are the shoes that you see most often in this movie?
What are the what? What was
the
it?
shoes that you see on the stuntman's feet most often in the movie. The answer's already been given once in this chat.
You said it like 3 minutes ago. I don't know what they are, but I just...
Another audience question was Alla Marine said, I'd like to hear Jacobus Reedy's and everyone's opinion on that. The role silent films played in influencing the great 70s to 90s Hong Kong martial arts movies. Who wants to take that one? Brian Wilson. Brian Wilson's got a DVD.
Ta-da!
Sorry, what was the question?
What was the influence?
I'm trying to find it.
The role that silent films played in the 70s to 90s Hong Kong martial art movies. And did anybody grow up on silent films in here? I did.
I mean, I don't know the direct history, like the Peking Opera School's founder was like, oh, I like Buster Keaton and that's what I'm teaching. But I think it's quite obvious. It's quite obvious the physical storytelling in the stunt work was absolutely an influence on that stuff. But I don't have the historical direct trivia of how and why that era, you know what I mean?
There's a great book I would recommend. Actually, there are two. One of them is Chinese Theater by Riley, and that's about northern Beijing opera and the origins of Beijing opera, and it's incredible. Ed, you would really appreciate it because one of the interesting facts about Chinese wushu and Beijing opera, the thing about Beijing opera was that all the characters had this sort of move vocabulary, and in your local region you would sort of be attached to your local star, and the star would have this sort of cult following because of the character that they would play. So they were the four standard types. There's the female impersonator, there's Guan Yu, the warrior, and then there's the fool or the comedian, right? And you would sort of follow one of these actors, and you yourself as an audience member would be part of a society and learn their movements. You would actually go to a school like a YMCA and take those classes. And that allowed you to sort of learn how they moved, so that when you saw them move, it like had this deeper connection with you. But so much of that that theater history in China has like a huge parallel with vaudeville in America. Absolutely huge parallel. Vaudeville was like the language of immigrants in America, right? And in Chinese opera, like Beijing or Southern opera, they were both this way, was also the language of the Chinese diaspora wherever they went, because all the Chinese dialects, you could still watch theater. You could all enjoy theater. So the two languages are like almost the same in a lot of ways. Very different in other ways too, because there's so much like weird sacred stuff wrapped up in Chinese opera that we will never understand. I think even like modern day Chinese audiences probably don't understand this stuff because Mao outlawed all of it. Like that kind of stuff, I think, lent so much to the aesthetics of Hong Kong action cinema. And like Jackie and all those guys, and Yuen Woo-ping's dad came from Beijing. I won't go into this too much longer, I promise. Yuen Woo-ping's dad came from Beijing. He was a Beijing opera performer. He moved to Guangzhou. And so Yuen Woo-ping and all of his brothers were like a Beijing opera troupe, and they were looking for their headliner, right? And that was like the deal with Beijing operas. You always have a headliner. And so Yuen Woo-ping, he was like this star maker. And so who was his first star? It was like Jackie Chan was one of his first stars. Donnie Yen, one of his first stars. He went through like a whole list of, really talented. So he was instrumental in that. So very similar to vaudeville and silent films. Cool.
Somebody guessed Fei-Yu's?
Yep, I got him. Brian Wilson. We got it. I got your DVD waiting right here. I think Brian Wilson was the first one that.
Brian Wilson was the first one. You're right.
I think you're disqualified, Manny. You know too much.
Manny, you answered too late. You answered second, at least on my chat. All right, next question. So this is for. Oh, let me grab it.
Troy got some.
Is Contour going to be
This is for the Hong Kong. Excuse me.
Are we sponsored?
This is for the Contour press kit. I have a press kit with all kinds of stuff in here. Bios for
all the
everybody.
Stuff that I learned from my marketing class.
I think you printed all this out, Ed.
Yeah. Dude, hold on. I got a 30-second story about the press of Contour.
Sure.
Dennis and I were at a convention where Contour was being sold. And jokingly, thinking they knew who we were, because literally, like, there's posters of us, and we're standing next to the posters, and I'm like pointing to the posters with our pictures on it. I go, what's this? Who are these cool guys? And the guy just lies. He's like, oh, yo, these are Jason Statham's stuntmen. They were just in dude, they died filming this movie. So he's the that we died working on the project.
Didn't know.
Wait a minute. That was the guy at the IndieCam booth, right?
He told us we died.
My God.
He said that we were part of the stunt group that was in the war film with Statham and Jet Li.
Nice. Yeah, I'll take that.
They were in there. One of the guys died.
Dennis and I just ran with like, that's crazy, dude. I can't. All right, bye. Oh, and he kept going like, you want to buy one? Come on. It's like, we'll come back. It looks like a great movie.
Oh man.
Whenever I would go to Comic-Con, we had a table there every year there was a year when like I think all of us went in 2007. We had just printed Contour DVDs, and man, like we sold a lot that year. I remember, but I remember then when I was doing Death Grip, and I had a poster of Death Grip up. It's 2011 or so, and somebody comes up and he's like, looks at the poster and he's like, yeah, who's that guy on the poster? I'm sitting next to my poster, and I look exactly like my poster, and that guy's like, who is that guy up there? Is he a movie star? And I was just like, I don't know. I just sell the movies, man. I don't look like myself. I never looked like myself.
How am I not?
So we have.
I think.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
Manny had a question.
Yeah. See, Manny's.
Manny!
Go ahead and call it out. What's the question, right?
What is
It was like, what was the reaction from everyone when you finally saw the final edit of the finale fight in full?
Oh my god!
I want to know that
shit.
question.
Do any of you remember?
I remember.
Play it again.
Yeah, play
I
it
feel like
again,
we saw it
Sam.
so many times, like, you know, in various stages, right? I feel like
Yeah, because we were
seeing
watching
all the
it
time.
being pieced together, and then,
I remember just going, damn.
Yeah.
And
I
also,
got a
remember-
question. And then I have a story also. But like, what was can you go over like the opening night of the screening of Contour, Eric?
What's the question, Ray?
About 4-star theater and then the whole experience of the of that.
So, okay, yeah. So we booked 4 showings when we first released it. I think it was 2006. We had 4 showings booked, and showings 1, 2, and 3 were good. But and you might be remembering something I'm not, Ray. So jump in at the end. But there was something like there were some gags that weren't selling, and one of them was Vlad. Nobody like understood what the hell this guy in drag is doing, showing up at the end of the movie. And and so I think I got everybody together. I was like, the entire thing with Vlad is like not working. What do we do? And at some point, like we made a decision, like, well, just stick a tiny shot in right when he says, like, let's put him to work. In fact, I think we dubbed that line over.
Oh yeah.
Let's put him to work.
Put him to work, yeah.
And then I had a little shot of Vlad like getting pissed off and kicking something, and it makes no sense. But then like that tiny little bit, an hour later, the audience can put it together and go like, oh, they got it. They actually they got the gag. And that to me was kind of amazing that the audience was able to like get that tiny little nugget in their heads.
Yeah.
Good choice of words.
Yeah.
It's a nugget. But I was just more talking about like that feeling that we had when we actually showed it for the first time, and guys came, like Manny was there. I think was there.
When we showed it, or when we saw it?
When we showed it.
When they were there, who else was Jay, and who else was there? There's a whole bunch of people that flew in to just to see it.
You know what it felt like? It felt like it was done. It felt like we finished it.
Yeah. I mean, we packed the place up so much so that like it was a fire hazard because like we were sitting on the front, and like remember Zelo came by.
That was a fun night.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, my favorite
Hold on.
Filmmaker.
Let's hold that thought. I've got
go ahead.
I've got some things about him, and then when we bring it back, we will have a chance to talk about him.
But anyways, just to go back from that, so the 4-Star Theater is a small theater in San Francisco, and that's where I saw a lot of my they had a thing that back in the 90s, and it was called like Midnight Movie Madness or something like that, and every couple weekends they'd show double features, and it would be, you know, Shaw Brothers movies, Five Deadly Venoms. It'd be like Jackie Chan and all that kind of stuff, like classic movies, Hong Kong movies. And I just felt like once we like got to see, once Contour was premiered in 4-Star Theater, I thought that was the goal. You know what I mean? And that reception that we had, that was awesome. Just letting you know that.
I just saw the chat.
Remember that, Jen?
Yeah, I just saw the chat from Manny. Kill him.
Well,
Kill him.
We're gonna get there.
Inside jokes that
I just saw. This thing is.
All I have to say about the final fight is just really great, and what you guys did visually with Steve and like everybody coming together. It was just like was fucking like in awe of all you guys. Just like, damn, like I got so lucky to be like a part of like be lucky to have so much friends that were just so good at what they did. Oh. You know, it's like, you know, like damn, like you couldn't pay money to have this happen, but have it happen organically, and kind of like in kind of like the early days of like texting and all that stuff, like online message boards and stuff, and like we all got together, and it's just funny, like how, like Steven could be like, I'm a great photographer. Let me do your movie, and then like I could be like, oh, I can fight. Look at me, I can fight. But like we were all so good, and I'm like, damn, like it just happened. Like it was just like fate. It's kind of cool, and just be a part of that was cool.
Pretty cool.
Ed, I've got a question for you in a second, but first I want to do the next trivia question. All right, this is for the press kit.
Oh, sorry.
So question is, this is a Hong Kong cinema question. So this stuntman is credited for inventing the trampoline gag in Hong Kong action films. You know that crap where they put the camera low and the guy jumps really high in like the Bruce Lee movies, right? So here's a hint. He fought Bruce Lee twice. So whoever guesses this gets the Contour press kit. Ed, I had a question about your marketing techniques for Contour.
Oh, that's right. We were just talking about this.
This is in the days of MySpace. What was the plan, and how did we get the word out about Contour?
There was like a $40 program that would auto friend request people, and like you could target it or something by like their interests. So we just had anybody who had martial arts in their profile just friend request them.
I remember
it's like early like Facebook advertising or something, but yeah, and it would just run on my computer in the background, like just on my browser, just going. I could watch it in the browser, like navigating to the page, finding them friend requests, and then load again. So yeah, man, that's we got a lot of people there. It's too bad all those pages got deleted, but it's kind of cool.
Stack of blue flyers,
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's right. We printed out a bunch of flyers.
We handed those out all over the place. Like that was some old school shit. They were.
It was cool to have like an excuse to have like stuff in your hands, like physical material, right? To like pass. I was like, it was cool to look at. I still have it all hung up and everything, but it's just something about like having a postcard, the ticket, just, it was just like old school, obviously, right? But just like having that and then saying, hey, it's not some abstract thing. You're not showing anything on your phone back then, right? It's all you had to kind of like say, hey, this is real, right? And like, oh, this is a poster. It looks professionally printed. So, this is, they didn't know what they were in for, right? Yeah. So it was, it was fun.
Aaron McGuire got the question. It's Han Ying Che, Han Ying Git. He was the one who invented the trampoline gag. Curse him.
Wow.
We got some more questions from the audience. Secret Surname asks, I would like to know what the hardest scene to shoot was in terms of camera work. Steve.
I think AFK.
Oh, he's AFK right now. We'll ask him later. I'm going to jump into the next trivia question. So what do we have here? Okay, we have a screener copy of Contour. I have no idea what's on this. It might be an old cut. I have no idea. Maybe you'll get an extra 2 minutes somewhere in it. So the question for the screener copy is, this popular website was hosted by a Japanese Jackie Chan fan. It was one of the first websites to feature indie action fight scenes. So whoever answers that question gets this mysterious Contour screener copy. Those are fun days. So Steve, question.
Yeah, well, I heard my name.
Yeah.
Okay.
The question was, what was the hardest scene to shoot in terms of camera work?
Let's see. I think it was Last Shot. So we bookended the movie. Obviously, we had these two really long takes. The first one, I wouldn't say it was hard. It was just nailing it, right? But the last one, and I'm forgetting the details. I just know it ends with you, Eric, dying. Like, you're like, and I don't remember why it was difficult, but I remember it was really tough for all of us, the three of us, right? And I don't remember why, but I just remember the feeling of, dude, that was hard. Everything had its own difficulty, but that one was, for some reason, like there's really cool, like the TIE fight, the TIE fighters, was pretty run of the mill from you guys did all the hard work. I was just getting it. Anyway, yeah. Now again, as we said earlier, just in the beginning there's a long shot and then the gun is thrown and caught, and just being able to frame that was just lucky. You know what I mean? I wouldn't call that hard. What was the final shot? Why was that so hard? It was going through multiple rooms.
Yeah.
It was just running through multiple rooms and anyway, I just remember that being hard. I wish I remembered why. Why it was hard.
I think so. Was there someone behind you making sure you didn't like run into doors and stuff?
No, I don't think so. And it was very lucky because the DVX 100 had that handle on top.
Yeah.
So I had all of this arm to be able to like navigate. And also because it had the screen that was flipped out. And also because it was wide enough, I didn't always have to look at the screen 100% of the time. I could look. Oh, we went through the plastic, sort of like when you enter a butcher refrigerator, there's those plastic strips. We're going through those. We're going around barrels of dried herbs, and it was just stuff like that. Did you guys go through like 4 different rooms?
Yes.
Yeah. I just remember that was hard. And I was scared because I think it was the cardiovascular abuse you two put on yourselves just per take. It's like, if I messed this up, they could only do a few a day before their lungs burst, you know? And you had the cigarette at the end, and you couldn't, and you had the improv.
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
It's bad for you.
Couldn't do it. Yeah.
Then you said, "Yeah, I gotta stop smoking," and that was an awesome line.
Thank God the improv was strong with you. Actually, I remember the hardest doesn't even matter, but I mentioned earlier one of the days I had what became severe food poisoning, and it started setting in while we're filming. And just standing up was like using all of the willpower humanly possible, let alone doing what we're doing.
I remember that.
I remember then when I sat in traffic for 40 minutes, dying, almost falling asleep, and then I think I puked like 300 times over the next 2 weeks after that. I just had food poisoning. I got black eyes from throwing
I remember you told me it was a bad strawberry.
Oh my God, yes.
I remember.
Oh my God, it was an unwashed strawberry.
Every time I see strawberries, I think of when you said that.
Because my friend handed me a strawberry. I said, "Did you wash it?" He's like, "You don't need to wash it." I'm like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "I've never washed a strawberry in my life." It's like, yeah, now I knew it was probably grown in like the feces of several thousand different animals mixed together as humans. And then so the hardest was probably just filming like Ed throwing a kick, but inside I was like holding on to reality. And I did faint while walking to the car, and then Dennis found me and like woke me up.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy, man.
That was
fun piece of trivia. There was one night after stunt practice, after dinner, Reedy and I, so the path was usually San Francisco, we'd be at 5th Street, and then we'd go like deep into like Japantown or something, eat dinner, and then Reedy and I would take you home, and then I'd take Alexis home, and then I'd get to my aunt's house. And I get to my aunt's house. Alexis.
That's a name I haven't heard in 1,000 years.
Yeah, I ran into her like years later. She seemed to be doing great.
She has a kid and everything. She's cool.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, you keep in touch with her?
Just on social media, but cool. Remember, she was my friend from I studied.
That's right. Yeah, she was.
And
really cool.
Because I had 2 jobs. I worked at the mall, and also I worked in the metal shop cleaning like chemical sewers and stuff. That's how I like paid for gas money to be able to drive to the warehouse to So she was my friend from the sculpture studio I worked at.
Just to let you know, I think Alexis, Lydia, and Tyler were all in Undercut first, right?
Correct. So, and they were all friends
Alexis.
from different avenues. And for Undercut, I was reaching for the cosplay. The cosplayers from Comic-Con had such a good attitude and a can-do. I want to show. It was really hard to get people to show up to film when you're like in high school. You know what I mean? Everyone would just but cosplayers took, showing up seriously, and that's actually why I liked putting professional cosplayers in my stuff because they'd actually just show up and have a good attitude. So that's where some of them came from. Yeah, but
speaking of contour undercut, real quick, let me jump in and do the next giveaway and then finish the story. Next giveaway. If you can tell us this is an undercut DVD signed by everybody.
Everyone, and Dennis also.
Yeah, even Dennis. I don't even think he's in it. What a bonus.
What happened?
Yeah, you signed
You were in the room while we were signing it. I'm like, why don't you sign it? He's like, okay. Austin did not sign that one, unfortunately. But the dog. Oh, son of a. I just ruined the question, Eric. I'm sorry. I answered it.
Oh, no.
Quick, we need a new question. I could never be the host of Jeopardy.
Reedy, you come up with the trivia question and we'll ask it.
No, you know what? Reedy wins the
He just said it to me.
Yeah. I just said it, and now I shine the light on it, so it's extra. Okay, all right. I don't know. Kill this if it's too easy. What country do American Ninja Eric and Chinese Ninja Andy get employed by at the end?
Fantastic question. Winner gets the undercut signed DVD.
Manny, you can't answer.
Manny, you've got 8 prizes so far, I think.
Manny is the prize.
Micah Moore asked, did you guys ever contemplate a sequel and kick around ideas to Contour?
I have one.
We all jumped in.
I have one.
Troy,
can I say it?
Yeah, let's shoot it.
Because I'm never an ideal guy. I'm just a bad guy. And I'm the only stunt person that can actually fight. I'm just playing. Sorry.
You're full of ideas.
Just playing.
That is true.
Just playing. Anyway, so Taifa, you should make Taifa like the a movie like in the 1700s. Taifa gets created,
like pressing rice noodles by the
guy
river
with a big bowl of soup.
What would it be called?
Taifa the beginning. Yes. No, I'm serious. Yes. And then, you know, we'll have like a Vietnamese restaurant like support us with their pho and free pho.
Free pho. I mean, that's a reason to do things.
Yeah.
Eric, real quick. I sent you a picture years ago. I think it was during the pandemic, but on Mission Street, there was a Vietnamese restaurant, and they sold Vietnamese sandwiches.
Yeah.
And it was called TY Sandwiches. But then they expanded, and then they made pho.
Thai pho.
And I sent you this picture, and it was
I've seen that too.
Thai pho. And I sent that you that.
At Pho 2000
and I was
in
like,
Koreatown, they also have a Thai pho dish here in LA.
There you go.
You inspired them. Micah answered France. Was the answer France? I forgot. It was, yeah. France. All right, Micah wins the DVD.
Yay!
What's up, Micah?
But what the question was there a sequel, or do we want to do a sequel?
Have we kicked around ideas for sequels? So I wrote a sequel. I wrote a prequel. I think we kicked around a few ideas, just never happened. I mean, it was that time of our lives when if we're going to do another movie, we had to do it in a different way, probably. Everybody was like moving out. You guys remember? I mean, I remember when Andy came to the studio one time. He's like, "Hey, everybody, I got 2 pieces of news. Getting married. Like, yay, cool. And having a kid. Yay." So everything was changing, you know. We were moving out.
An earlier question, like half an hour ago, said, "Are you guys going to be making more indie action movies or something to that effect?" And that love is absolutely 100% still alive. There's the logistic complexities of it's so weird to say this, but I hate saying this, and I don't even believe it as I say it, but now there's rent and mortgages to pay, there's children to raise, and that sort of thing. So it's like, man, see, a lot of us still lived at home while we're making these, so our overhead was very low. We all worked a job or two to support. None of us were like handed a silver spoon, so we're all working very hard just for the ability to work on this for free, but now it's like, oh, interesting. So it'd basically be like save up for a year or two to then be able to work on 1/4 of it. That's doing the guerrilla style route. But there are martial arts movies in the future of this style to occur. Yes.
There should
be.
I'm ready. I'm ready to shoot next week. Let's go.
Let's do it. I'll write it up.
I'm down.
And you know what, he is, and we're all down. But just to let people know, it's like me and Dennis have been involved. Like we've been working with each other for years. Me and Eric, we were on, a recent video game a few years ago, but we started up over at 2K, and we were in BioShock Infinite together. We were in Mafia 3 together. And I remember when you were having, I think, your first kid, right, Eric? And it was me, you, Dennis, Ed, and I think Lucas were filming that day.
Yep.
And do you remember this? And
yeah,
then you gave the cigars and all that, and that was like
XCOM 2.
A little mini XCOM, maybe XCOM.
We were on a computer
XCOM
all day.
2, and it was like a little mini reunion. Yes, and we were doing the the Star Trek thing, like we'd like bump and do that, but like we were all together. So I mean, we worked with each other, a lot. Not a lot, but we see each other from time to time. But I gotta say, Steve, I haven't seen you in years, but I remember filming Unlucky Stars, and we were talking philosophy. Remember this?
Oh yeah.
And then
Unlucky Stars, a movie by Dennis Ruel
Pacific Rim
himself.
was coming out at the time, and you were talking about the yes, and Eric, the end fight scene of Contra was great, but like Rope-a-Dope, I mean, you and Dennis, it's just like magic again, right? We're Rope-a-Dope 1 and 2. Me and you in Death Grip, like we're all like gonna be part of like. I tell Eric and I tell Dennis, Ed, Steve, if you ever call me up and you say like, hey man, I need you. And you know what? Down. A couple years ago, right, Eric, you said, hey, I need you. And I'm like, I'm there. I'm there. You know what I mean? And that's because it's like the way that we work, the way that like, we just flow. And we were talking about flow earlier, and it's just like, it's not magic. It's just like I don't know what it is.
It's a way of being.
It's that flow, I guess. And yeah. And then you know what, man? If you Dennis, if you call me and you say be in LA next week, I'll get a cheap flight, Frontier Airlines, man. I hear it's like $50, so I'll be right there.
Yes.
All
right, I want to get through some more of these giveaways because I got like four more things to give away. So, next one, signed Contour, Black and Blue, entire cast and crew, probably everybody, and probably people that weren't in it too. What Bay Area city is prominently parodied in Alfonso's dream map? The one that the van goes to. Now we're getting technical and difficult here. We had another question from Aaron McGuire. Question: does anyone have plans to make another indie action feature like Contour on Unlucky Stars? Is a focus on stunt work and other productions? Either way, I'll happily support it.
That was the one I was referencing.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Well,
I paraphrased it from memory though. So
okay, that makes sense.
I would like to keep making indie stuff more than everything else in life with everybody I know. If that's the if that's the thing, if I could choose one thing, it would be to keep doing the indie stuff, and somehow the whole trick is to figure out how to make a living off of it. But if we could, if I could figure out how to do that, only that would be all I'd want to do. I wouldn't want to do other stuff. I would just want to work with all friends that I know and just make stuff that we actually have control over, because once you start making stuff for other people and trying to make a career out of that, that's a whole podcast. But that can be a very difficult route on the soul.
Has everybody seen the Push Luck trailer? Push Luck. Tak Sakaguchi. He did a movie in 1999. He did a feature-length film with Yuji Shimomura, the Alpha Stunts guy. I will post it in the I'll post it in the live stream chat. But it is it's not even a throwback. It's a movie from 1999, and it's like zero gravity style martial art action, like same kind of camera, same everything, but a feature film. I'll post a link to it, but I think that's coming out finally. That actually is what inspired me to release this, and I'll find the link right now. It's called Push Luck Trailer. Yeah, from the Japan Action Channel. This is a decent quality one, and I'll post it to chat right now.
Oh, cool.
Right here,
Whoa.
man.
Is it like VHS?
It's like VHS, man. It's so.
Well, they got like trucks and stuff. Whoa, yeah. Ooh.
Steve, remember when you and I were talking about making Previs the movie? Remember that?
Yes.
On a DVX 100, and just like releasing it on like just make it on.
You know,
DVX.
I tell you what, I'm fascinated. My iPhone is from a year or two ago, that model, but the latest connect the SSDs, and you could just record RAW. They straight sell little clips. You put an SSD onto it, and it does a little USB-C into it in your iPhone. I'm very fascinated. I'm gonna probably get the next iPhone, and I'm very curious. Like, I wonder, because you think the DVX lets you do cool things, like, right? Like this is like swinging a credit card around. Very, very interesting. And you know, we're talking about. I was mentioning earlier novelty. There was a lot of room for novelty when we were up and coming, and then now, since we could do everyone could do everything, it's less special. I feel the same way about technical perfection, where back with contour and undercut, we would work so hard just to have a shot with production value because we had no money, and even then, you know, as DVX didn't look that good. It's very, you know, it was very hard to make something look really good. But then now everything looks really, really good. So it's almost like, who cares? Yeah. In a way. Now, I do believe aesthetics are a vital part of storytelling, including picture quality and lighting and stuff like that. But I think the need and the struggle for it is less mandatory. Like Ed, you're talking about Bjork. There's a movie called Dancer in the Dark. My God, yes. What a deep movie that just punches you in the soul. That thing's shot on like bad mini DV. Right. It doesn't matter. So maybe in the time between contour and now, as technical perfection became too easy, it actually stops mattering as much. And the difficulty of lighting a shot, which could be like hours for a shot, maybe doesn't always need to matter. It depends. This is a very tricky thing. I'm talking about art here. So sometimes it absolutely is vital, and other times maybe it doesn't matter as much. Looking at this Push Luck trailer, I'm watching it with the volume off. Dude, this is some good stuff.
It's rad. And like, you look at the pacing of that action. If you were to like time the action, the amount of movement and the amount of hits, it's maybe like statistically better than modern action.
Yep. It's funny. It's giving me like Stunt Blade Alpha vibes.
Totally. That's exactly how I felt. Yeah. I was watching a Zero Gravity movie, which, by the way, there's a good question that just came in. Brian Wilson, did you ever feel like there was competition between you and the Zero Gravity guys back in the day? I don't
even know that.
I don't know if they. I don't know if they thought that there was competition from us, but I think from our side we were definitely like looking at them like, okay, these guys are really good. We got to get up to their level. I think one of the shorts that just really like kicked my ass was Kid Gusto.
So Tony started training with us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's friends. Everyone still works
Everyone's
together.
super cool. I mean,
yeah.
Kid Gusto versus Matrix was the one where I just went like, this is off the charts. We got to do something. That really got me off my butt to do like, you know, try and do my best in terms of action. Pong Yen came in and doing camera the way that he did it was like, you know, wild. I interviewed Larry on Action Talks, Larry Leong, and
that's right.
Yeah, it was
and then
awesome.
Dennis worked with Ken.
Yeah,
with Ken.
Yeah, so everybody's cool, man. Okay. What's that? Oh, next giveaway. We have a Contour trailer tape.
Whoa.
This is a digital beta cam.
Whoa.
The trailer. This is what I delivered.
They played the Jurassic Park theme song.
Yeah, this is a master that I sent to the They can open doors now. Here's the trivia. Here's the question. The 2002 Stunt People short film Teamwork 2 was featured on this short film compilation DVD. If you've been watching, you'll probably get this one really easily. Whoever gets that's going to get the Contour trailer tape. Let's see. Were there any other questions?
I got a question for
Eric.
Go
for it.
Just talk about Stuntblade Alpha. The whole, just like you making that compilation and the response that you got.
I think at the time, so before that we had done Stunt Reel 6. It was called Stunt Reel 6. It was like a compilation of shorts, and I really wanted to kind of like do this this sort of video game aesthetic, because I was really I started collecting video games at the time. Don't tell anybody.
FFA, Neo Geo stuff, right?
Yeah, don't tell anybody. But like, I had a little bit of extra cash from my college fund, and I would like go to the video game store, and I was like buying video games, just collecting them. And so I was really into the aesthetic of arcade games and Sega Genesis, and so I wanted to kind of like put it all together. There's like a loading screen with a CD and stuff. It's very like niche kind of mid-90s video game. It's video game style, but the music was kind of from that era too. And we threw together just some random shorts to begin with. Brutal was like right after we saw Ong Bak. So I think Ed came over. I met Ed at SF State. Ed was we were doing a Tantoy class, and it was every morning at like 8 a.m. in the bitter cold and the fog. And we were doing stretch kicks. It was just brutal. I tore my hamstring recently. It was a terrible class. And like there was one guy in the class who was super serious and like really good. And I'm like, man, this guy looks kind of like he's mean. I don't want to talk to this guy. He's just way too serious. And then I think it was the last day of class. And I was like, I got to meet this guy, because like I'm trying to make a stunt team. I go up and I talk to Ed. And I was just like, hey, man, I make local martial art movies. And he's like, hey, what's going on? He does his Alfonso thing, basically. Super nice, super genial. We start talking. And Ed, I have it still. I actually have
the book.
I have your Ring of Fighters DVD.
Oh my God!
Fighters!
Yeah.
I have Ring of Fighters, and you showed me Ring of Fighters. Ed had done an indie film in Guam, I think. You were in Guam.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, this dude like just went and did his own thing back in Guam. So we were like soulmates at that point. And so I think you were hanging out. We saw Ong Bak came out. We watched it. We watched it twice probably. And within a day or two, we called Andy up. We were like, we got to do something that's like Hong Kong action, but we like hit each other for real. We kick our hats off and stuff like that. And that was it. And there's some shots in Brutal from Stuntblade Alpha where like Andy kicks a hat off my head. This might have inspired that box stunt, that box gag, Steve. Like, do you remember this? Were you shot that, right?
I shot that. That was the first day I met you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, funny.
And I literally just went to meet you. I'm like, do you want me to hold the camera?
Get in here. I need a camera. Hold the camera.
Yeah.
No time to meet.
Yeah. So awesome. That's the best way.
Yeah.
It's the sewing circle.
Yeah. Now we know each other. Yeah.
Nerds. Yeah.
And Andy kicked a hat off my head, and it flew right at the camera. It was this perfect shot. I was like, we got magic here. And then one thing led to another. I think because Ed, you had access to a PD-150, which is a big deal. And
big work.
Yep. And took that. I don't know why we were shooting it, but we decided to do an action film. Escapee. Yasu had met Yasu in Chinese class. Dude didn't know anything about he didn't know anything about martial arts. He said one day he turned to me like day one of Chinese class. He says, "Hi, I am Yasu," and so we were best friends. And we started hanging out and come to stunt practice. Dude is a character.
I still quote Yasu regularly. Like the big one I say, and I don't even think about it, is he really loved American rap music. Instead of "keep it real, dog," he'd say "keep a real dog."
Keep it real, dog.
Keep
it real, dog.
So I'll say goodbye to friends who don't know any of this, and I'll be like, keep a real dog. And they'll be like, okay, sure. Anyway, continue.
All right.
He is cool.
Remember when we were filming Deadly Finger 2, and Yasu did not know what it was.
Right.
And I remember like trying to explain what the whole thing was, and Yasu was like, I don't get it.
Yeah. Fun times.
All right. I have another. Oh, so Manny got the last one for Everyone's Kung Fu Fighting. That was the answer for the compilation that Teamwork 2 was on, Undercut was on. No, excuse me. Steve's other film, what was it called? Mari's Revenge?
Oh, no. Wow.
Revenge.
Yeah, this is like right when I graduated high school, Mari's Revenge. And what it was is this is before Kill Bill. And I desperately wanted to make martial arts films, and I didn't know any martial artists, right? So I made it with like people I did know, and I'm like, oh, well, we'll do the hot girl exploitation. Like it was supposed to be a satire at how dumb exploitation movies were, because it is just excuses for girls to get in their underwear. I don't think people saw the satire in it, which maybe made it more popular, actually. And then a dude we know said, hey, you actually live near people who are actually good at martial arts. Why don't you go meet them? So then I went, and that's how we met.
Funny. I remember seeing that short.
You're probably going like, wow, this is something.
Definitely don't want to work with this guy. And then I found out, and I was like, this guy's awesome.
Well, because I don't think I leaned into that. I was making fun of movies that were exploitative, because I don't actually like movies like that. I think they're made by the lowest common denominator of like pervs. You know what I mean? So but what was it? Yeah, and the whole satire was, it was a girl who ordered something on eBay and it didn't show up. So she went to get revenge.
That's right.
Like, there's henchmen and grenades, and it was an excuse to do the action cinema thing that I've always wanted to see, except I didn't have anyone in front of the camera who was any good at action. Then luckily, here we are. So yeah, and that's why showing up at Brutal, you guys were standing outside. It's like, nice to meet you. I don't want to stand around. I like being useful. If not, I feel bored, and like, what do I do with my hands? It's like, can I hold the camera for you? So I'm not just standing here like a weirdo. And then it worked out.
So Steve, I gotta ask you a question. How was it actually being one of the stuntmen in Contour? Because you could see a whole bunch of you in Ed's fight and in some other spots, right?
I think it's very fun. I never gave the discipline to be as good as you guys, and also I'm not sure the natural born talent was there to shortcut me there. But I always enjoyed working out with you guys, and I do like physical comedy and stuff like that. If there is a skill I might have, it's that ability maybe. So it was fun to jump in front and play. The bat fight was a couple dudes. It was always fun, like when I'd be in my realm of competency, and it was neat. Nice little change it up a little bit. But
yeah, you were also in Deadly Finger 2.
Remember, like, having
Say what?
You were in Deadly Finger 2.
Oh, sorry.
You were in.
Oh, we were always playing. Yeah.
You were always in something. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, the thing is, we're always, and also I wasn't the only one holding the camera.
Yeah.
Like we'd change. I wasn't even there some days because I'd have to go to school or whatever, so it was fun to change it up. And also it gave further respect, because one thing I didn't realize is blocking hits, which, it's only half strength, but you do this over and over and over for like 3 hours, your body starts, well, I'm not used to it, right? Your body starts going like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like your body kind of goes into like a very small, like just 10% of like going into shock. Like, dude, what the hell? Why? What's with the getting hit in the forearm and the shoulder over and over and over and over and over. And I did used to wrestle like competitively in middle school, so I know what it's like to get slammed and hit and stuff like that. And your body kind of goes like, what? But the fact that you guys all day long are just blocking these half-powered hits and don't complain. Or don't get off put by it it taught me be more impressed at what stunt people, what you guys do, you know. But Ray, to answer your question, it was fun. Always, of course.
I'm gonna do another giveaway.
Yeah, I just
here's a big one. This is a Contour Betacam Master.
When did that...
It's ridiculous. It's 2008. It's 2008, and nobody knows how deliverables are supposed to work still for DVDs. Nobody knows if it's 720p, 1080i. Nobody knows, right? And it's like, give us a DVD. No, don't give us a USB. No, just stick to the Betacam. So I had to rent a Betacam deck and make this tape. Have you ever seen one of these? They're not it's not a VHS. It's like it's totally different. So this is the Master. God. This is the Contour Master on Betacam. It'll make a great paperweight for somebody. Question is, what server? We're going way back. What server hosted the Stunt People website in the early 2000s? And here's a hint. The URL contained a hyphen, which made it a nightmare to tell people.
Right. Oh, Whirlwind Action, reach out to me. I don't even know if I have Mari's Revenge, but yeah, we could try to upscale it.
You might want to... I wonder if you could rip it off the DVD somehow.
Well, you know what's funny is I think I have the mini DV somewhere. Does it work still? You know what I mean?
Right.
And then I met Stephen Reedy in Burbank in 2017. I was watching Justice League. That was the AMC Burbank 16, and the projector crashed midway through it, and we learned it was running on Windows.
That's great. You have a great memory, Steve.
You know, you don't forget such a cinematic masterpiece like Joss Whedon Snyder's Justice League.
All right, I'm gonna do my final giveaway real quick, and I'm just gonna, and then we can finish it up. I gotta go in about 15. I have to rescue the grandma from my 3 children. Here's the final giveaway. We have the Jesus bobblehead from the van. So the other question is still in the docket. Nobody's answered the URL question, but here's the final question, and I know somebody's going to get this right. This indie action film classic was parodied for a brief moment on a TV in Contour. Name that film.
Buy it, everyone.
Which, by the way, is probably still available to purchase in various places. It's a classic.
Go ahead, Manny.
It's my favorite.
Manny knows it.
I own it.
I own a signed copy.
Whoa.
Who else would know it?
Flex on that.
Micah might know it. Who else?
And
Lost in Light.
All right, here's a question, fake question. How do you defend against a machine gun attack?
Somebody wrote that?
No, that was another Contour trivia question.
How do you defend?
I think this question's too hard. Oh, Drunken Master? Nope, not Drunken Master.
No. Yeah, you guys should just guess because you can take a bunch of prizes home this way. Go ahead, take a crack at it, Brian. And I'll keep giving hints. This is depicted this film that's parodied. It's an indie action film classic, indie martial art film classic. Brian has the name of the director. We need the name of the title. Anybody know the name of the title? It's a classic.
One of San Francisco's greatest.
It's one of the San
Francisco's greatest martial artists.
I would love to have him on the podcast. If I could swing that someday, I think that would be get Zelo on the podcast. Dr. Z on the podcast would be great.
Come on, Manny.
Combat Mortal.
It's wrong. It's wrong.
What?
It's not the K. He didn't put the K.
Oh,
No, he didn't. It wasn't a K. It was a C. It was a C.
I was kidding.
It was a C.
Mortal Kombat.
It was a C.
Combat
There you
Mortal.
go.
All right, Manny gets.
Man, how many prizes did you get?
Manny wins it all.
Manny got a bunch.
But that last time.
Chasing the Dragon's close. Chasing the Dragon's my favorite one. But it's not Chasing the Dragon. It was
Chasing
Combat
the Dragon.
Mortal. It was Combat Mortal. Chasing the Dragon's a work of art. It's a work of art, man.
It is.
I still think a lot about that.
You gotta
movie.
give us some Lazy Browns merch, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll ask you questions.
I am a crazy sausage.
Still trying to give away this Contour Betacam. I'll give you a hint again. The first word in the URL is Neo, N-E-O, and then hyphen what? That would be
Geo.
Neo Geo. Well, I think that we're gonna wrap it up, guys. It's been over 2 hours.
Wow.
Man,
It's 3
That
hours.
was-
thank you so much.
It flew by, man. This is cool. So when are we gonna start shooting the sequel, guys?
I'm ready. Tomorrow morning, I gotta eat first, but
Yeah.
that's after breakfast.
So are you gonna give us the power bars and water?
Neomotus. Manny got it. Yeah. Power bars and Nugos.
Those Nugos, oh my god. Were those even good for you?
Yeah.
Like,
I think they still have them. Actually, it's one of those
Yeah.
few that's still like.
I remember they were like some of the first food to be like low glycemic index.
Oh yeah, well, there was always those. There was always like. Yeah, they had low glycemic index. What was the fad back then? Oh, I remember acai was a fad for a minute back then.
Atkins, because
Atkins, that was it.
Dr. Atkins
Yeah, Atkins.
died and his family took over and just sold it out to everyone. he slipped on a puddle, a frozen puddle, and then all of a sudden Atkins was everywhere. Everything was Atkins. Anyway, that's for a different podcast. That's for the Bacon podcast.
So, any last words from everybody? Are we pushing anything?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Eric.
who's working on
What's
what?
up?
I'm working on myself.
Here you go.
When is it gonna be done?
It's a work in progress.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I haven't seen Steve Reedy in so long, and Steve, you got your hands in everything. So what are you doing, man?
Well, the next thing I'm working on, and this is for funsies, is there is a video game composer named Austin Wintory, and he and I became friends when he scored a martial arts thing I did like 10 years ago called The Forge, and I won't talk too much about this. It's just a short, very creative documentary thing that I was inspired by like 2 months ago, and I went and told him about it. He's like, let's do it. So that'll just be a fun for funsies thing. My most recent, the two recent jobs I've had, and this is just name droppy stuff, is I got to work with Batfleck, who has a movie studio now. Ben Affleck has a movie studio now. So that was fun. Fascinating. Oh, I dropped this name here. Here it is. And then I also, my hobby has always been philosophy. Ray, you know this because we'd always talk about it while filming and stuff. So I actually wrote in a philosophy book. I was hired to write a couple chapters in a philosophy book, so that comes out soon.
Sweet. What's it
so
called?
those are that's the recent bubble. Dennis and I a couple years ago wrote a martial arts movie together. That's very cool. Dude, the martial arts thing is still my great love. It's just so difficult. And I don't like saying that because I don't like saying things are difficult because our spirit is to do it at any cost. So
yes.
perhaps we've Joseph Campbell heroes journeyed through playing in the for real arena and then realizing it's actually more fun to play in the backyard arena because that's how you get it done. I don't know. But anyway, what am I up to? Those are some of the things I'm up to. But it's been too long since I did an action thing, and I am thirsting to film some action. Maybe just a 30-second thing just to do it. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
We do it. Let's just do a 30-second thing. 1 minute thing.
And
we'll
you know what, Steve, I gotta really say.
Say what?
I gotta say, like you briefly mentioned The Forge, but I gotta say that is like really inspiring. That little thing that you did with you and Dennis and telling that story. So I mean, I really recommend people watch that one.
The Forge.
There's so much stuff that we did, but like that one.
Yeah, that
you know
that
what?
was a
What
weird
I like
flavor.
is also,
There's nothing quirky in that one.
Yeah.
So.
What I especially liked is the forging the forge.
Oh, the making of.
So
yeah.
The making of. So it's just your whole process. So that's even better.
That's probably about to be taken offline. So I mean, because Participant Media, the company of Participant Media, has it on their YouTube page because Rainn Wilson, the guy from The Office, put it on his YouTube page, and his company got bought out by Participant Media. And 2 days ago, Participant Media announced they're going away. So actually, the Forge, I'll have to find a new home for it. But yeah, Dennis plays a demon in it, and anyway, blah blah blah. If you haven't seen it, go see it, The Forge. But yeah, thanks for the question, Ray. That's cool. That's sort of the latest. There's always more.
Eric.
Me? I just wrote
Eric, what's up with you, man?
I have a white paper on violence and language. It's the thermodynamic model of violence and language. If you're into reading really thick philosophy that has like an evolutionary angle to it, Steve Reedy, you might be interested in it.
I read it. I suggested a name. Sticks and Stones May Break My Bones, but...
You did read it?
Yeah, and you said, yeah, I did read it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Right on. Sorry,
check your signal from like a month ago.
Oh, weird. Okay, sorry, I must have missed it.
Sticks and Stones May Break My Bones, but...
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I might turn that into a video essay, make an action essay into it.
I figured that was its next logical step.
Yeah, and I'm gonna write a book out of it. And then
here we are, philosophy nerd martial arts people.
Yeah, but I want to make a Contour sequel now. I'm inspired. I want to make it about, I don't know. We got to work in some kind of AI villain that's like killing off random tour guides in San Francisco or in Las Vegas. And
yes.
We got to
Travelocity.
Yeah. It's like the AI tour bus that just like has no driver in it. It's like yeah. So, and then we got to work mocap into it somehow. I'm sure we could get money to do this movie, guaranteed. We don't need us. We are the stars, so we could do it.
We could do it.
We could absolutely do it. And then some other games and crap I'm working on, whatever.
Cool. Ben?
Don't sell yourself so short. Or well, you probably can't say, right?
Can't say anything about any of it.
Games are all NBA.
Yeah, they don't exist.
Let's make a new thing and let's get everybody.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we should all get.
But seriously, on my end, I'm thinking about teaching martial arts and doing something crazy with it. If you look up ecological dynamics, I think Reedy might be interested.
Oh yeah, man, he's been really.
I'm really into this new thing. It's like kind of like a new way of teaching martial arts, but I'm using it with my students in where I'm teaching.
Ecological dynamics.
Wow.
Yeah, check it out. I think I talked to you about it before.
Oh, cool.
It's very interesting. So,
yeah,
if anyone
about that
wants to get in touch with me,
he was talking about violence and then.
Sweet. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Right on.
But anyway, yeah.
Yes.
Who else?
I know what you're up to. What you up to?
Who?
Anyway.
How about you, Ed? I haven't seen you in so long.
No, I know. Just
how's everything? I don't know how personal you want to get.
Raising these two boys, these two twin boys right now.
Yeah, twin boys, guys.
That's the twins.
Congratulations.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, how you sleeping, man?
I'm not.
Yeah. Been there.
You're coming down to the city tomorrow, right?
Yeah, that's the plan. In between their nap times, basically. So we'll see how it goes tomorrow.
Well, let's try to meet up.
We'll try. Yeah, man, we're gonna be there pretty early, but I get like probably
People
like
don't care about us.
10:30 something.
Oh
yeah.
Shoot! Yeah, I got work. Yeah.
Anyways, I gotta mention San Francisco, by the way, or just like the stunt people board and just us getting together. Man. It was the stunt people board, and a lot of these people that are on the chat, they were like,
Charlie
on
just
that
dropped
same
in
board, right? But
yeah,
Charlie, dude, what's up, Charlie? I mean, we got Charlie here, we got Manny here, we got Micah here. You got you know, all these like old school people that we've seen and we probably have filmed with, and and it's funny how the internet is, right? and if I, if I wasn't on the Stunt People, board and didn't know that you were in San Francisco at SF State, like we would have never met, and
where would the world be today?
How sad that would have been,
Yeah, man.
Definitely, man. Definitely.
Like it's just great. Like, yeah. Anyways.
Well, this has been fun.
I've been talking a lot, so.
Yeah, it's great to see you guys. It's great to see you guys.
It's good to see you.
All right. Well, when we upres it to 8K in 10 more years, we'll.
Or maybe the Apple Vision Pro 15.
Yeah, or we'll make it full panoramic with AI.
Yeah. We're shooting Contour 2 next week. Is
yeah,
that what
yeah. I'll send out an invite and we'll get it going.
Yeah, next week.
See you guys.
I'm there. I'm seriously there.
No, really, like I've been really inspired by this whole process of re-releasing this, watching it a bunch of times, and the just the passion of it. And what I keep telling people, they say, what do you recommend? What is the question? What do you recommend to people who want to do this? And it's like, well, love it, right? And if you don't love it, man, then it's gonna suck. It's because like it is just pain. It's probably like martial arts, right? Like I remember taking martial arts when I was 12 and I hated it, and then I loved it when I turned 20. So it just depends, man. If you so there was this love that all of us just like wanted to do the coolest, craziest crap that we possibly could, and I think that that's possible to do that again. So I right now am going to work toward getting that on my, like, however I can do it, I'm going to try and like get that going again, because my fire is lit.
Yay.
So Eric,
Right.
Eric, you were talking about how like Steve was like the drummer of the band and leading, but you were the band leader
The
of
bouncer.
all of this, and without your ingenuity and leadership, your vision, this would have never been made. And like, I love your page, your YouTube page, and you're interviewing all these people that all of our heroes. But you know what? People got to know your story, and I'm glad all of us got to tell one part of your story, and that was Contour, and it's such a memorable part of all of our lives,
No, I couldn't have done it without you guys.
I really just gotta say thank you.
I couldn't have done it.
Yeah, but like personally, I gotta thank you. I gotta thank you because I got a quick story. Tony from 2K, he was doing a game called what was Spec Ops: The Line. So they had those guys in the suits, and they would actually do their own stunts. So he showed me the video. One of the guys grabbed his head and started smashing his head on the floor. Didn't know he got a concussion, right? So then he says, "You know what? We need to get stunt people for this."
That sounds like the Mafia 3
So guess what
shoot.
he did? He typed in stunt people. He typed in stunt people Bay Area, and guess what? The Stunt People board came up. He called you up, and then he said, "Hey, do you got any guys to come in just to do some military, like, kill sequences, right?" And you recommended me and Lucas. And then we got in on there, and then from there, Dennis got in, Eric, Ed came in, like so many of the rest of the stunt people came in, and I have been working.
That was a horrible experience.
Troy came in for 3. He was Joey Diaz.
I didn't even get the video game
for that.
Yeah, they don't give you a copy.
But they don't even give us a code anymore.
No.
Anyways, but I have to tell you, because since 2011, I have been working for them on and off and on for like 12, 13 years, and I got to thank you for that. We went to what else did we do? We went the first time we were on TV for what was that thing? Time Warp.
Discovery Channel Time Warp.
Yeah, we did that. the first time me and you were in North Carolina. First time I've ever been, you know, to the East Coast. We filmed Dogs in Chinatown together.
Dogs in Chinatown.
Yeah, I don't know if people have seen that, but like some of the coolest stuff that we filmed and such a like crazy time. And you know, that's just me. And you know, we filmed all of us.
That'd be a great one to
know,
upres, by the way.
There you go, man.
It's a beautiful movie.
Micah, and I know I'm ranting here, but I'm just like just it brings back all these memories, and I have all these feelings about like, you know, all of you guys, because I gotta say, I mean, Troy, he's my real actual brother. Dennis, he's my Hapkido brother, but like, you know, we've known each other for like more than 30 years, and you know, Eric, like I said, like we've been through a lot, right? Yeah. Ed and Steve Reedy, I mean, come on, man. Like we are still together. Oh, I mean, we still like whenever we see each other, it's like nothing has ever changed, right? When I saw you, Reedy, like how many years ago? 8 years ago, and it was just like it was nothing.
Like it was
right?
nothing. Time is fake.
Be like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just like, you know, I'm just feeling really emotional right now because our tour was a big part of all of our lives, and we put all of it into it. And that there's a reason why you see all of us in every like frame, you know, being the henchmen, right? Because we didn't care. We just wanted to get it done, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, that's enough of my time. But thank you, Eric.
Yeah, thank you guys, because I don't even, a lot of the time I don't even quite know what I'm doing, and I just sort of say like I want to do something funny, and I relied a lot on all of you, and that was a lot of work. Everybody put a lot of work in, got zero pay, and it was all passion, and it was a war, but it's a war that we all fought together, but that's like, it doesn't feel like a war. I don't know, like, I guess it is a jazz band. It's much more like a jazz band than a war. But like, it felt like it had this like goal. The jazz, whatever. It's fun. Let's do a sequel.
Let's do a fucking sequel.
That's right. Yeah, just shut up and film. Make your movie.
All right. Let's end it on that.
All right, gentlemen.
Good stuff, everybody. Thank you.
Hey, I'll hear from you next week when we get the papers done.
I love you guys.
Love y'all. Thank you all for joining us on the chat too. I will send out your gifts eventually. Email me at business@ericjacobus.com. I also have my email on my website, ericjacobus.com, because I don't know if that's the right email address, honestly. So that was a lot of fun. And let's get a sequel going.
Yay! Tour. All right. Good night, everybody.
Right. Good night.
There's new stuff going.
Okay.
Night, guys.
Love you guys. Good night.
Night, everyone.
All right, brothers.
See ya.